All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are back in Goa. David here with my buddy Jesse, who probably has some kind of 90% sugar and cream, 10% coffee
Oh,
in
dude, there's
there.
never any sugar in my coffee, bro. There's never any sugar in my coffee.
Okay, it didn't look black, black, black though, did it?
No, I've got some. Oh, dude, I got a whole milk frothing situation to create the latte of my
Frothing.
dreams.
Oh my
Hmm.
god. So you've got like a high end station there, coffee
It's
station.
definitely not high end, but it works pretty well. Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right,
got the
so
frother as a gift, and now I use it every day.
I see. Well, somebody
Yeah,
did a good job. Yeah,
that's right.
something that gets used every day. That's nice. Speaking of things that are getting used every day, my life force and yours probably. So we've reached a new stage of the tournament, the semifinals. We had a glorious rest day where I got to just sleep, and we're back for the semis. And what's the mood, Jesse?
I'm pissed, bro. I'm pissed. Um, so I was there doing the tie break for Sam, and
Yeah.
I was a shitty morning, dude. I had like a technical meltdown. And it
Oh,
just,
was it the YouTube being turned off?
yeah, my restream thing is just broken.
Oh,
It has been for years. So, anyways, I had that going on. And then I was thinking about it, it's just so random the way Sam gets eliminated. And by the way, it was also random how he got there. Like he won some games in Blitz games, and that's how he got to where he was. And it was just like, as a fan, my reflection would be like, okay, if you're a fan and you try to put yourself in the player's position, be like, okay, what does this person need to do it again if they were going to do it? If they were going to like reform their life and be like, I'm going to rededicate myself to this. I'm going to go for it next time and I'm going to like not make the mistakes I did in the last World Cup run, right? Let's say you did that.
yeah,
What are you saying? I'm not going to lose a blitz game? Right? What are we talking about? It's just some blitz game, dude.
yeah,
So that felt totally random. And then, so I was a fan of this tournament for two reasons. One, there was a couple people that I was interested in. At the end, toward the end, it was Yospem and Sam.
yeah.
They both lost. And then also, I'm a fan of the World Championship tournament in general,
Hmm.
and I want the best players to be there. And it's like now, and then Arjun is out, Keimer's out, So it's just like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing here? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like imagine you were going to have like some collection of stars for your big event that happens every couple of years, and I don't pick your sport, let's say soccer or something, and you're like, nah, Ronaldo, he shouldn't be there. Messi, that guy, don't put him in. We'll come up with some system, and whatever the system said. No, dude, of course Messi and Ronaldo need to be there, or else what are you doing? What are you doing? And so
Speaking of
this,
what are you doing, Jesse? Are these moves real? Like, is today a blitz match or a real match?
oh, we're getting way. Thanks,
Oh,
see
they're
for
getting
this.
retracted.
Again, retract that could
Oh, they
be
must
a
have had
ceremonial
dignitaries or some dumb.
dignitaries. Yeah.
Probably had some war criminals come in to make a move for them. Oh
Uh,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, I'm watching it.
Well,
This is,
smile and shake hands, and then get them out of there.
and then we have this Uzbek situation, which is kind of a cool story. But let's just say the obvious: their number one player isn't going to be that. That guy's a star. He should be at the event.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are cool. There's nothing wrong with these guys,
Yeah.
but they shouldn't. They're not the ones who should be playing for the. And one of them, at least one of them, is going to be at the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this final couple rounds covering it,
Yeah.
it's pretty like what in terms of what's at stake. It's totally like bleh. Because we got we got four dudes. Three of them are going to make it.
Yeah.
So if you imagine the two winners. they're going to play for a little cash at the final round. Am I interested in covering that? No. There's nothing at stake.
Even they will hardly care by then. They'll be so tired and so happy to have made like to have made the FIDE candidates that they'll be like, who cares? Who
Yeah,
cares?
so there's like one thing for third place going on here. So we're going to watch like a couple days of this to figure out who of these four is not going to make it.
Yeah, yeah. Frankly, I don't care anymore either, Jesse. Um, I I only showed up today because people would say I was salty if I didn't. Of course, I am salty, but
Uh-huh.
well, I don't care which of these people makes it or doesn't make it at this point. So it's like, what's at stake anymore? Do I particularly not want Sindarov or Yakuboyev to make it? No. Do I particularly want one of them to make it? I don't care. I don't care what happens in this match. I don't care what happens in this match. So to echo you, what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Well, we can maybe we might learn something just by watching some good chess. But yeah, it's as an event, I guess we should do a podcast about it and be like, this is
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. Mm.
Yeah, I suppose we could go
Also,
record
totally
about.
unclear which game we should cover, right?
Yeah, let's see. We got a semi-Slav, and we've got a DE4 French. I would say DE4 French.
Okay. Okay, we
I
can
don't
take a
know.
look.
This line with DE Knight D7
Yeah, we can take a look.
should be should it be mildly suspect or should it be A-OK? You don't often see it at this level.
Um, I know that people have gone dark on it, like, done deep analysis, usually called the Rubinstein. But anyways, it would be cool if it were playable for black. Um, it would make the French a little bit more interesting for playable. So I'm okay with covering this thing.
It would mean there was like nothing that white can do at all in chess.
Well, no, I mean, white. I mean, the classical people who wouldn't have, without the computer would be like, okay, white just has a little space advantage here. Um,
Um, Here's what I know of from like a pre-computer age, perhaps, but I know of this line: knight f3, knight f6, takes, bishop g5, h6, bishop e3, knight d5,
good.
and
Yeah. I think that's what the computer likes to do. That's like the computer kind of thing.
yeah,
Hmm.
and to me, it never seemed exceptional for white.
Hmm.
So I don't know if there's something saucier for white to do. We see Wei Yi has stopped and thought.
Yeah. This dude, S.E. Penko, he's been playing some kind of I was thinking about his chess because I was thinking about the way he played with Sam, and I think his play, I don't know if it's specifically for this tournament, but um, he seems determined to play to just hold the position. He's rarely like actually trying to do anything. He's just trying to hold the position. Um,
In this
and
tournament or just everywhere?
I actually want to say I'm not, as we saw, he kind of hasn't been playing. The Ukrainian war took him out, so we haven't seen that much of him.
Hmm.
but I've just been watching him this tournament, so I don't know to what extent it reflects his style in general. But with Sam, he was definitely trying. Like Sam would be playing all these weird openings, and he would just pull it back. He'd be like, I'm just gonna hold the position. I'm not gonna go after your coconuts."
Hmm. Johan, there's nothing about this opening that certainly makes it unplayable. As far as we know, it might be borderline playable for black, but it does involve, a small concession from very on, right? Because this knight c3 de4 position, white is immediately given more space by black, and the bishop on c8 therefore is a little hemmed in. Now, if black's able to put it on b7, maybe that's no problem. If black's able to trade off the central space with c5, maybe that's no problem. But from the get-go, we've played this e6 move instead of e4, so we went less far with our pawn, blocking in one of our bishops. And then the the original premise of the French was that by attacking the undefended pawn on e4, we would force white to either trade or push. If they trade, we get equality for our bishop, so to speak. And if they push, then we can claim they've overextended. They spent time building this pawn center that we can counterattack. But if white holds e4 with a developing move, and we have nothing better than to trade, right? So if we say something's wrong with the window work concept or the classical concept, if we have to trade, then in theory, our trading move goes out the window. White recaptures with a knight on a central square, and our bishop remains on c8. So formally, it seems like like at minimum, some kind of a concession from black. But as far as I know, there's no special way for white to exploit it, and black kind of comes out okay from it. Partly by using the undefended knight on e4 as juice, just like we were using the pawn on e4 as juice. We're trying to, in this line I showed with knight f3, knight f6, we're trying to get white to use the undefended piece to sort of jumpstart black's untangling.
Right. I think if you wanted to put a story on it, you could say that I wanted to trade pieces as black to relieve my congestion,
Mm-hmm.
and the knight on e4 is one of them. It's one of the reasons why bishop g5, I think, is a small mistake, and that would transpose back to other variations of the French,
Mm-hmm.
like the bishop, like knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5 variations. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they're taking on e4 is a little bit more plausible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. There's this idea I know of playing for. There's all kinds of plans for white of playing like knight f3, knight f6, knight takes, and either c3 there or knight e5 first.
Mm-hmm.
So like a knight e5 plus c3 construction.
So if black played c5 too early or as a method of dissuading c5, the point is that bishop b5 or queen a4 is coming before black gets the king out of here.
That's the hope, dude. That's the hope.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Sitting on it is Wei Yi.
You got any Goa World facts for us today, bud?
Nope.
You're out of your Goa trivia.
Yeah. No, I'm just sort of like punching in here, you know what I mean? But not really doing the job well.
Here's a fun fact about Wei Yi.
Okay.
One of the things that we talked about was in terms of figuring out world championship potential was how fast someone reaches 2,700.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was the fastest in history to make 2,700, making it at age 15.
Yeah.
So that's kind of amazing. And now, it's interesting. The guy's 26 and he finally makes the top 10.
Yeah. Look, his picture on chess.com says Tata Steel behind him. That's kind of where he had his biggest result, right? He won Tata Steel once.
Something like that, yeah. He's been kind of a player who's been lurking around. We like have our top 10 predictions and stuff. And I think now, like, he's kind of finally made it.
I mean, he's been around between number 8 and number 12 this year. Um, so he's been in there for almost 2 years since he won his Tata Steel title.
The other crazy thing, this is maybe one of the reasons I'm not, he's never fully been on my radar. I'm looking at his FIDE graph here, and he was really out of it for like very inactive for the entire COVID stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, from January 2020
Mm-hmm.
all the way really to December of 23, that whole time he only played a couple of events,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one or two I'm looking at here. And then after that, he has his big push. So he was the December 23, he's a rating of 2729.
Mm-hmm.
And then he popped up to a high of 2763 and then fell back a little bit, like 27. But he's kind of been stable around the 2750 mark.
Yeah.
Um, so we were talking about lost years. Esipenko definitely had two factors in the lost years with COVID and then the Ukrainian war. And this guy too, man, very not playing much.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, his ascent is amazing, dude. When you look at he goes from he goes from 2138 January 2009 to 2600 in just a couple of years, dude. Just a couple of years, just straight up. And a stunning rise. Okay, we got some moves. Knight f3. He thought for 11 minutes, a little long.
And he was like 10 years old in 2009?
Yeah, something like
I'm just
that.
sort of processing what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like 2100 at age 10. And then by age 13, he was like a 2600 GM.
So he makes 2,700 in March 2015.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, knight f6. I consider this the main move.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably just asking him. It is kind of a thing where he's probably hasn't looked at it in a while. And now his opponent's going to be totally bomb proof on this thing. Yeah. Okay, so in this position, I'm assuming knight f6. Um, White has the main move bishop d3. That looks a very human move.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the c3 move, which is maybe more ambitious. There's your move bishop g5, also a thing. And of course, and then in fifth place, we got bishop e3. And then some miserable chumps played g3, but I hope he doesn't do that. Even g3, that's not the dumbest thing I've ever seen, actually.
No, G3 seems potentially okay. He plays bishop
Mhm.
D3 though pretty quickly. So you get a sense, folks, a little taste for how these players can sort of fish in their mental databases, so to speak, right? Like he has not prepared this in a while. It doesn't look like from that 10 minutes. He didn't he didn't expect it, but he spends 10 minutes and then he picks something.
So the knock on bishop e3, though it's the most popular move, is the very simplistic c5.
Mm-hmm.
And then long term, what Black can say is, buddy, I'm gonna knock your center down, and you're gonna have we'll have pawn, we'll have that whole um, queen side pawn versus king side pawns going on. it'll be kind of an interesting position, but we'll claim we're just fine. Yeah.
Bishop e3, queen c7 played quickly. So,
Mm-hmm.
as Jesse said, Estepenko has anticipated probably, any top engine moves, so to speak, in this position.
Yeah.
So that's good
Mm-hmm.
news for what Wei's played, in a sense that he probably just played some top moves. But also, yeah, Estepenko will be ready. Um, in general, although it's all concrete, in general, as black, you don't really want to play cd4, bishop d4 in this position because you're kind of improving white's bishop since you don't have knight c6 or any obvious way to challenge it. So black holds the tension. White's probably threatening to take on c5. Black plays queen c7, defending the pawn on c5. And Wei Yi says, I want to castle queenside. Want to, I want to go for it. And
Yeah, and then
Estepenko instantaneously a6,
instantaneously.
saying yes, well within prep.
One of the things too is if you tried to prep this out as white, like after Queen E2, all your moves are sensible, but black can do so many things here. Could play Bishop E7, Bishop D7, Bishop D6, CD4 might even be playable. Your Knight D5 move might be playable too. So all this stuff, you know, he would have to have figured out. Now, I guess one thing actually we should say about it is on Knight D5, maybe white could play Bishop B5. So
Last move, you're saying?
A6, yeah, and if you imagine instead of A6,
Mm-hmm.
if black had played Knight D5, I think maybe Bishop B5 could be a little uncomfortable with this whole Knight E5 idea later. Like, so you take it. You can play Knight E5 there, you'd have to worry about, or just taking it, and Knight E5 might also be a hassle in the castle. Right? Yeah.
Honestly, queen a4 might be enough there.
It might. But in any case, that's what I think A6 is working for,
Mm-hmm.
is I'm avoiding that garbage.
Yeah, I see it.
Because A6, honestly, it's not the first thing a human would do. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would play V7 or something else instead.
Right, human here, you could go bishop d7 for sure. You could move the bishop on f8 because for now, bishop b5 can be blocked, no problem. And knight e5, you'd have time to castle on any of these bishop moves. Yeah, so not obvious why a6 is correct, but the speed
Yeah, like what's
suggests that the computer agrees.
right. And A6 is also like if you castle long, maybe I'll do something like some kind of B5. I probably will play B5 if you castle long.
Mm-hmm.
So A6 is
Threatening
clever.
c4. Mm-hmm. And this is going to force a second thought out of Wei Yi. How to navigate this. Um, I'm now slightly worried about black playing knight d5 if I'm white. Maybe I don't
Hmm.
need to worry so much.
I mean, it's not a world beater or something, but these positions, by the way, I feel like it's kind of fun for black. Like, let's say if you castle long, I have B5. If you castle short, maybe just like B6, bishop B7. Um, and it's an interesting position. There's things going on.
Mm-hmm.
The Both of the bishops, White's bishops, are cool looking, but could become victims and kind of be in the bishop on D3 is in the way of the D file. The bishop on E3 is in the way of the contact with the E5 square.
Yeah. I was thinking that if we just castled kingside, let's say, and black played knight
Yeah.
d5, maybe I could preserve my bishops with bishop d2, and then I noticed knight f4, and we
Mhm.
still don't keep our bishops.
Yeah.
So I'm very annoyed about knight d5. On the other hand, I considered c4 to stop knight d5. And then black can play c4, bishop d4, bishop b4 check. And it's not perfect for me either.
Yeah. I'm not sure how, I mean, A6 already gives me the heebie-jeebies, and knight D5 we are, like definitely not developing ever. So what are we doing?
Okay.
So like on knight D5, I don't know, man. You know.
Well, if you want to do something to black, you got to go like knight e5 or knight g5 or something. Because they're going to take your bishop pair and then
I would
laugh
just
all
be
the
a
way.
little, I'd just be a little nervous here if I was white, because maybe he'll take back with the F pawn or something strange.
For sure.
So like maybe C4, maybe C3,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's going to have to be something like knight g5 pretty soon. I mean, black's very happy otherwise. Kaylin telling us that Weiyi's had this position before against Ivanchuk and castled. Excuse me, in the live position.
Mm-hmm.
Castled kingside, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, c4 does also maybe threaten d5, so I don't know. How bad is it to retreat the knight to d2 in my c4 line, Jesse? If I play c4, cd4, bishop b4, bishop b4, check, knight d2. How bad is that for white? Why would I care?
Why? But you don't need to play C4.
Maybe I don't need to, but
But I want to.
I want to. Is there anything wrong with it?
One thing that's interesting to me from the database is, you know, A6 is definitely a computer move, but it is by far the most common.
Mm-hmm. So it might be something that people knew about even before computers?
Mm, I mean, people definitely knew. I remember in the 90s, this whole idea, people, White was frustrated with this whole thing and, came up with various bishop B5 attempts.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can imagine that that was what was going on with A6, if we want to call it pre-computer.
Yeah, I mean, A6 is not a computer move in the sense that it would not be on my radar, right? I mean, I see that move. I don't think anything special of it. I think, yeah, sure.
Well, I think where it's actually kind of special is it deals with bishop b5, but it also says, "Are you sure you want to castle long?"
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's saying. But are you sure, buddy, you want to castle long? Maybe you don't, bud. Maybe you don't want to castle long, is what it's saying to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he is just gonna castle.
Yeah. But give me let's look at a variation of something. Let's say I
Okay.
castle and you play b5, threatening
Yeah.
c4.
How about I play b6? So the argument is like I only want b5 uh if castles comes. But
But
I'm
I
not
am
sure.
castling queenside.
Oh, you're castling queenside like a
Yeah.
maniac.
I
Okay.
just want to see it.
All
I
right.
mean, I understand you played a pawn move and then you're saying you're threatening a pawn move, right?
Oh, that's
So
fine. That's fine. All right. So b5
b5, now I play c4
in front of the
in
king.
front of the king
Bruv.
in broad daylight.
But okay, so you're not tell me you're thinking here, bro.
All right,
So you're not threatening anything.
my thinking is you've just been moving pawns right? You claimed I had a development lead if black played knight d5. I'm claiming I have a development lead already with all these pawn moves. So we're going to trade all those pawns. I'm going to play king b1, and then my bishops will stand well on c4 and d4.
Okay, let's just say I develop bishop e7.
Bishop e7. Good idea.
Like
King
castle. King
probably to
b1.
b1. You castle.
Oh, castle.
And I would play rook c1.
I just don't believe that you'll ever be able to take my coconuts, buddy. So bishop b7.
Bishop b7. All right, time to take some coconuts. C takes b5.
I don't think you want to do it, bud. I don't think you want to do it.
Now that we get to the moment, I really need to screw my courage to the sticking place here. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, that's.
All right. Ay, ay, ay. If I take on c5, you're going to push b4, right?
I don't even know yet. I don't even know yet. But that looks good. DC b4. All I know is if you ever play CB, I think you're mad.
All right, I'll take on b5.
Oh, you did it, dude. All right, well, I'll develop the rook. AB.
You didn't even take back?
No, AB. AB. I
Oh,
developed
right. The good way to
AB.
develop the rook. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, bishop takes b5.
Oh, this is not going to end well, buddy. All right, so I got bishop e4 check. I got rook fb8.
Yeah, hooray for
Bishop
you.
e5.
Yeah.
This is it's a queen a5. I got a wealth of riches here.
Yeah.
I'm a rich, rich man.
Mm-hmm. Rich in words, but not in deeds.
Dang. um. Oh, I think you're just gone, bro. Okay, I'm gonna just principles here. I'm gonna bishop e4 so that my bishop gets out of the way of Mr. Rook coming to b8.
Yeah, king moved.
King moved. You're not gonna get. I thought bishop d3 was forced. All right, definitely rook 8. Well, I want to ask rook a2, king a2. Sorry, I don't mean to move for you. Queen a5.
It's all right.
Oh yeah, this is gone, bro. King b3,
Oh, yeah,
queen
yeah.
b4. Oh, buddy, welcome to the dojo. King a2, rook a8. Oh, what a move are we on? Move 19. It's over. Rubenstein French is a crusher.
Yeah, you get to move for me when every move is a forced move. Jeez Louise. Okay. Well, no wonder you didn't expect king a1. All right, I give up. Don't castle queenside here, folks.
I mean, I think castling queenside maybe is not so bad, but you don't want to be opening your kimono with c4 and then taking b5, bro. I'm sure, let's say if I go to the database here, there are reasonable players who played castles long here. All
Okay.
right. Esipenko won I'm gonna say he won the battle of the opening.
Sure. It's not
And
over yet. The opening
no, but
phase, I mean.
he got 25 minutes on the clock. That's winning the battle.
But we also still have to see the position that he has at move, 14 or 15 and see if it's a good position.
No, but I think he's fine here. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's fine.
So far, yeah, I'm just saying I want to see 4 or 5 more moves before I decide who won the opening.
I think in terms of inspiring me, this Rubenstein French is like something that would be good as a backup opening for me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I play these kids and they're really booked up on their three knight c3,
Mm-hmm.
and DE4 would be a way to try to deflate their little bubble.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if Wei Yi can't deal with it, dude,
Then nobody can.
I mean, I've played a lot of let's call I don't this structure should have a name, but it doesn't. You know, where you get like a four on the king side versus three on the queen side. But I
Hmm.
played a lot of this structure. It's always I think when kids first see it, they think it's really boring, but in fact, there's a huge dynamic with that happens just with the difference in the pawn structure, and especially if I can get my bishop on b7, then I'm really got a lot of juice going on in my life.
Yeah, it is a critical pawn structure for chess. One of the biggest pawn structures to not have a name. Hmm.
Right? We
Yeah,
need this thing needs a name.
we should give it a good name.
Oh my God, he played h4. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Jeez.
Oh, this man is angry.
So he has not been uh, cowed by Black's opening prep. You see, he has not been cowed, and he plays a newish move. Is this move in your database, dog?
It is, bro. It was, it was a distant third. So it was only five people have done this.
It was the
And
third most played move.
third most played, but only 5 games. Only 5 games. So like I said, it was not that many.
So what moves
I
had White played here? Castles, kingside, and
Yeah, I mean, really, for a human, it's a castle. It's a choice between do you want to go for it long or do you want to go for it short? Of course, I would be a chump and go short. You are a madman and always want to go long.
well, no, I just wanted to know. I
I just
in a
wanted to
game I
know.
would have probably been terrified. Honestly, the move that I might have played in a game was c4. That move sort of appealed to me.
All right, let me see if I could try to put this in words of what's going on. So, one way to think about it is if you intend to go h4, then it would be more natural to play castles first because h4 kind of says, well, I'm going to castle long first. I'm going to castle long anyway. So I
Mm-hmm.
might as well do that first before disclosing this h4 intention. But I think if you're going to make a story out of it, you'd need to say, well, um, what I'm trying to say with h4 is that there's some drawback for him committing to b5 here.
Uh-huh. Like maybe I'll just put my king on f1 or something, or sometimes they even castle with their pawn on the h file, right? But
Well, I guess so. To me, if you're the big question would be, is there something wrong with b5? If there's something wrong with b5, then h4 would make a ton of sense. Because like castles long b5 was my concern. So I do this h4 thing and I'm waiting to see if he does b5. I don't know if there's anything wrong with b5. Let's look. There's only, by the way, so here, black has all kinds of different moves that have been played. Two dudes play bishop d7. We got b6, b5, knight d5. Oh, and
b6,
we have a
b5,
game with
knight d5, bishop d7. Four
we have
different
a
moves in
game.
5 games.
What's that?
Four different moves in 5 games. b6, b5,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
knight d5, bishop d7.
There's also a game in here one with LC0 versus Stockfish.
Ooh.
2024 rated 3631 versus 3662.
Okay.
Holy moly,
Show me
dude.
that draw. What happened after h4?
Okay. So H4, dude played bishop D7. Again, I don't know what's wrong with B5. Then he castled. Okay, so there it is. The computer intention is to say there's something wrong with B5. I wait until you don't play it and play a move like bishop B7, and then I castle long. Black then played rook C8, knight E5,
Whoa.
bishop A4.
What? Bishop a4?
That makes a little bit of sense.
What about the other half of your pieces? Oh, it's avoiding the knight trade, huh? Partly.
It's just,
Okay.
and we're talk to C2 a little bit.
Sure.
H5,
Whew.
because that's how we roll.
Space age.
Knight D5, Rook D2.
Maybe knight b4 was a big threat.
Something like that, yeah. Bishop E7. Queen G4. My God. Bishop F6. King B1. And then H6. By the way, one of the things that's interesting in that series of moves is normally the computer really doesn't like to allow H6, but there was some reason that white playing H6 in the last couple of moves wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but it was there's something going on.
Okay, one of the few things I can tell you is white is not offering a pawn sack on e5 because of queen a4.
Yeah.
That's why that knight's just sitting pretty on e5.
So then rook E1 was played.
Mm-hmm.
And now a very non-human move, bishop B5, which looks like we're hanging a coconut with C4.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can take on E3, so that's not the
Yeah.
thing. So bishop B5, maybe a nice move. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then white was like, screw it, and he played knight G6.
Whoo! They've always got something, these beasts.
Then black played queen A5.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is next. It's obviously next level. Knight H8.
Notice the rook, folks. Okay, white takes it.
Knight E3.
Queen e2.
I think queen E2, knight C4 is the intention.
Okay.
White plays rook E3. Queen D2. Rook E6. Jesus. King F8. Knight G6.
He wants rook f6, queen c8, all with check.
King G8.
Oh, he made it.
Knight E7.
Rook f6, there's queen e1.
So then we go King F8. Knight C8, FE6. A3, CD4. Queen F3, Queen E1. King A2, Queen E5. Queen B3, and then they were like, yeah, I'll offer you a draw.
Yeah. Incredible. Incredible.
So I think that was obviously kind of mind-numbing and stunning at the same time.
Yeah.
One thing I think it shows, though, is these computers, when they play like H4, you can be watching their evaluation when you're doing your opening prep, right? And you see H4, that's a cool idea. But then there's no human that has the ability to play moves like these animals just did,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can try to follow in the footsteps of giants, but you're probably gonna you might get burned because you don't know what the hell is actually going on.
Right.
All right, we have H4, knight D5, and castles long. After H4, black played knight D5 fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So also we have a game with Korobov Berkesh, and on H4 he played bishop D7. So who was the person who played knight D5 here? These are two chumps, like a 22 and a 2100 played knight D5.
Okay. So, is Esipenko still prepared for this move H4, Jesse? 1 minute and 48 seconds. Does that tell you he was in or out of prep on this knight D5?
Yeah, he might have he might have done it, dude. He might have done it. Let's see here.
You see how aggressive and confident Wei Yi is here? He's down half an hour on the clock. And he says, yeah, I'm going to play H4 and castle queenside despite, this A6 move telling me not to. Okay, Baymon asking about knight B4. bishop c4. Then black looks like they've got b5, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think we want knight
And
b4.
now if bishop b3 c4, I don't know where we're
Right.
going. So I think Baymon, if black plays knight b4, I think white's just going to play king b1. Just saying, like, you could have taken the bishop on e3. You can take the bishop on d3 as well. It's just, yeah, white's offering up the bishop pair, however black wants it here.
The other thing that's tripping me out, Mr. Proofs, is the real point of h4 is somehow there's something wrong with b5. There's something
Oh,
wrong with
like
it.
instead of knight d5, something wrong with b5?
Well, because
Because
that's the
Stockfish didn't
only
play it.
story I have for h4 because right if you play h4 it looks like oh we're castling long. So the only reason not to do it would be like oh there's something wrong with b5. I don't really see what's wrong with b5. It almost seems like well then you got to take on c5
Mm-hmm.
as well. I guess you don't have to. Yeah, you have to. What am I? Well,
I
you
mean,
better
c4
think
is a
strongly about
big
it. Yeah.
threat, so I guess c3 would be the alternative to taking.
See, I mean, I'm just assuming it has to be some kind of thing with like a DC and A4 or something,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't seem that special to me.
Okay, I'll throw those moves on the board though, just because that's the way I quote unquote think is I need to throw something on the board. So D takes c5, bishop takes c5, a4. We hit this b5 pawn, try to expose the pawn on a6. I'm playing b4 for black just with my hand. And now, what would the argument be? Well, for one thing, knight d5 is never going to take the bishop pair from us, so I'm happy about that. Bishop on d3 looks okay. H pawn looks okay. I mean, it looks playable. I don't know
And
if
then I
there's anything
think though, Miss,
special.
one cool thing here is I think you can. Okay, here's a good argument. Is it in here? I'll play H5,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say, we want to see what you want to do, and yeah, I might do something like that. So my king
Yeah.
is still flexible with maybe I'll go to F1,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I haven't committed the king.
Yeah, I would tribute with h6. I would expect your king's going to go f1 or g1, and the rook's just going to be floating out here.
I like that one, but you just put that one down nonchalantly out there. I'll tribute. I'll
Mm-hmm.
tribute.
Yeah.
How did you verb it, bud? I'll
Yeah,
tribute.
I'll tribute.
I'll tribute.
I'm a man who doesn't like to tribute, you know that well. When people try to force a certain move out of me, there's a kind of oppositional response where I say, no, I don't want to do that.
So yeah, the rook h4 move is interesting, Mr. Bruce, because then I'll talk to b4 a little bit. I got the swing and the king. Yeah,
Yeah. You
that's
got rook
interesting.
c4 and rook b4, or you've got something on the king side.
Hmm.
I don't see a lot of action on the king side right now, so I would probably castle for black on the king side without feeling scared, but yeah.
Well, you got to wonder about rook c4 though, but I think
Right,
you
yeah,
might
he
have
does.
to tribute. You might have to tribute me with
Indeed.
bishop e3.
Black probably has to tribute there, and that's resolving the tension in favor of white's queen. And then if you castle, maybe there's rook b4. So again, like, oof, you're being asked to pay a lot here by the rook on h4, actually.
Well, rook b4 is no puedo because of knight d5.
Okay. So we could try.
Actually, even then, it's not over because I got queen e4. So, well, no, queen e4, f5. What a mess.
Queen e4, knight d5, f5, queen c4.
Here,
And
white should at least be a little nervous because his rookie is all cookie.
yeah, the rookie's being pretty weird, but we're up a pawn.
Hmm.
Maybe queen f7 for black. Yeah.
There you go.
The dark side of the H pawn push that nobody ever talks about. They're always like, oh, fawning over the computer engines. Oh, Alpha Zero, I love how you do it.
All right, so we have castles, and black finally thinks a little bit and plays bishop d7.
Yeah. And Wei Yi is thinking on every move. Thinking on every move. So he's confident in the sense that he's playing some very aggressive moves here. He's not confident, though, in the detail of exactly what to do next. I've got my sensei eval bar up at zero point 0.1, by the way, Jesse. That's sort of my default on move one. I
Hmm.
set my eval bar to zero point 0.1, and then later on I put it down to zeros or put it up to 3 or 4 if anyone gets an advantage. So
And
bishop
four
d6.
is such a computer weird driven move, dude. Okay.
Yeah. So we could basically transpose to the computer game with knight e5 bishop a4 here. I think.
Yeah, something like that,
Right.
exactly.
I think the exact computer sequence was maybe h5 rook c8 were on the board first, but
Hmm.
more or less we'll be there if we throw in knight e5 bishop a4 here. We'll be in far out computer land,
I
and
think this is a hard choice for White, honestly. Like let's say you saw this H4 move and you're like, this is a really cool computer idea. Then you
mhm.
got here with Bishop D7, you're like, well, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah, I mean, the two moves that would come to my mind would be knight e5 and knight g5. I suppose also h5, just ignoring everything, right, and computering along. Um, so knight e5 and knight g5 both are trying to do something. Knight g5 hinges partly, as a couple people in chat have been exploring, it hinges a little bit on this move h6, queen h5, and then there was a question: is g6 bishop takes g6 working for white? Feels like almost certainly yes to me.
Well,
Um,
also knight G5, like if I just play Bishop E7, there's also the, well, what is the big idea?
mm, there could be multiple ideas there. Um, as the first idea would be queen h5 anyway.
Okay, so here's a okay. One of the things I think we can say actually for white here is that white needs to prove something, or else black actually could become better pretty quickly,
Yeah,
or at
bishop
least
pair,
completely fine. Yeah, I got the
queenside play.
bishop pair, and yeah, queenside play. So knight G5 looks a little unprincipled to me, but maybe you got to come up with something violent. That's what I mean. Like at this point, that it's kind of a thing where you got to prove something.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, so h4, knight d5, castles queenside, bishop d7, king b1. See, this is why I said we can't evaluate who won the opening battle just yet. I need to see if white
No,
achieves
I'm gonna
something or
tell
not.
you black won because white just played king b1.
King b1 meant that it was bad.
Well, I know bad, but black has full. I feel like he can do a lot of cool things. 93 amongst them.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know about knight g5 or knight e5, but that the problem for white is he would really have to calculate those moves, and king b1 you don't actually have to calculate, right? You're just you're king b1 says, okay, what do you got, black? And now black has to make his choice. And black has a big choice here. I feel like we got knight e3, bishop e7, rook c8. All of these things seem plausible to me.
Yeah, but I mean, normally King B1 needs to be played. To me, it's not that big a deal. Um, I did think that Knight G5 looked correct, but
I'm just saying, like, if White wanted to have something in this opening, the
mhm.
trend is in Black's favor, so White needs to do. White needed something violent.
Okay. But we might have it next move, right? I mean, there's still a chance.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, we're giving Black like a big choice here now. Like, maybe you'll have it. You might have nothing too.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Knight G5 looked interesting to me. I think that was a good looking move. I don't know about Knight E5, which we didn't look at. Was also a possibility. Knight E5.
95, yeah, yeah.
With the ideas of like Queen H5, Queen F3 as well, but also Knight takes D7. Um, we didn't get into that move at all, but it looked equally plausible to me. But I'm not too upset about King B1 because I'm not yet sure that Black has a move that won't allow Knight E5 or Knight G5 next move.
Okay, let me try something out. As you say, you want to put moves on the board.
Yeah.
So on 93, I want you to tell me which way you're going to recapture.
With my F pawn.
Okay, we have pawn. Okay.
I mean, I still feel like it's possible that White could come out well here.
All right, I don't know what to do. I'm going to first try Rook C8.
Rook C8. Okay, I'll play Knight E5 now.
All right, I have no idea. I'm going to try Bishop D6.
Yeah. Okay, probably have to take on F7.
That's a very Prussian thing. Well, I got to take it.
Yeah, you forced my hand.
Okay, let's say I take your knight.
Forced my hand.
Maybe I'm lost, but I also don't know if I get it.
Rook HF1.
Let's put it on G8 for the moment.
Okay, maybe just a simple H5. Go back to where, Shirgorov? Bishop D6 and E5 without Rook C8. F3, Bishop D6. It's true that right after Jesse traded on E3, this would have been a moment to maybe try and stop one of these knight hops by developing the bishop. Rook C8 was very aggressive play by Jesse, I would say.
And I don't know. Actually, let's just go back to before we go too deep. Let's go back to King B1. So I want to say 93 is a move. Seems like Bishop E7's got to be a thought. Castle's long, probably a thought. Knight F4 might also be a thought. So I feel like this move King B1, like if there's a virtue to it, it's like we're just gonna put the ball in Black's court. I'm gonna put it in his court, bro, and then he can figure that. Then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably get a tank here.
Yeah. I'm gonna peek across the hall for a second at the Uzbeks and their semi-Slav. Whoa, queen trade very early on. So they're going to practice grinding. Yeah, not as compelling as our French.
I have a feeling that other game isn't necessarily dead,
No,
but
no, not dead at all.
we just had Caitlin saying it's dead. I think there's probably some interesting things to say there.
Yeah. I mean, even this last move by white, I wouldn't have seen this coming. Bishop d2.
It's pretty basic. A little bit hard to, yeah, hard move for black to know exactamundo what he's supposed to do there.
Right.
Because rook c1 is definitely a pain in the butt.
Okay. All right, so king b1, we got knight e3, we got castles queenside, we got bishop e7.
Maybe rook c8 directly.
Maybe rook c8 directly. I mean, some computers got away with it, so yeah.
And I guess in general, we'll say like the thing that white's banking on, no matter what we do, is that an eventual either knight g5 or knight e5 is going to mess with me enough
Yeah.
that I will feel regret for my life's decisions.
Right. That at least it's going to justify giving up our bishop pair, right? Cause at least a little bit of annoying. We haven't yet had anything that made us update the eval in this French game.
I might call it equal after king b1.
Okay. All right, Jesse's going to adjust it down a tenth of a pawn here.
And I'll tell you what, Mr. Bruce, I'll just take another stab at this. So
Sure.
just another human stab. So knight e3,
Yeah.
fe3, and let's just say I castle long.
Castle long. Okay, so you're going to go bishop e8 and then dig out with f6.
It depends a little bit where you go, maybe, because knight g5, yeah, I'll probably play bishop e8 and then dig out, as you say.
Oh, somehow reminding me of how Ice Cube used the phrase dig out.
Well, tell us, David, how did
Oh,
Ice
he said he
Cube?
finally got a call from this girl he wanted to dig out. So, I mean, I don't want to go too
Okay.
deep into what it must have meant, but something other than having a bishop on the back rank.
Uh-huh.
Maybe putting his bishop somewhere else.
So actually, we don't have to go too deep on this position, but it looks
Yeah.
like this is another option. Yeah, so king b1, we could, I think putting the ball in black's court is kind of cool because now, you probably, if you're worried about computer prep, you'd be like, well, I know king b1 wasn't there for him. And by the way, there's no reason I can't, all this stuff I can always take on e3 later. I thought maybe it was clever to do it now just so that you have to tell me. Because later you might want to take with the queen. And even, David was instantaneously FE, but knight e3, queen e3, there's nothing really wrong with it.
Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with it. I don't know. I
I
just
might
wanted
get,
to try something, I didn't want to sit there, navel gazing for hours, as you might say. I just wanted to make a move,
Mhm.
learn something. So after knight e5, bishop e8, I'm trying queen g4, Jesse.
All right, I'll play the natural king b8.
Very natural. Dang. That almost felt easy for you.
My unopposed bishop is the one on f8, so I want to put all my business on the dark squares.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what?
All right, c3.
All right. F6.
f6. I don't know. I'll put the puppy on c4.
The puppy, I like it.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to pay tribute, as Bruce says, with a move like Bishop F7.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try Bishop C6.
Bishop c6. All right.
No tribute.
No tribute.
Yeah, definitely a position where things might go wrong for white here.
All right, I'll play h5.
There he comes. We got to move. Let's see what he chose. 93. I'm a GM today. Now we'll see if Bruce is a GM. In principle, I feel like FE is the most violent move, but Queen E3, Queen E3 is actually pretty hard to believe in because after Queen E3, there's all kinds of things. FE3, yeah, good.
I mean, for all we know, Queen e3 is equally good, right? So
I don't know. Queen E3, I think was both CD and C4 give so many questions. I'm not both of them are like, I don't know.
yeah, but sometimes the moves are equally good, you know. Yeah, in my honor, Jesse, I didn't even consider taking the pawn on e6 in that last variation, you know. So
Does that mean you're improving?
improving my pawn grabbing ways a little bit, just a little bit.
Uh, okay, so he is. It's interesting. It was like you could take and then say that's the principal right thing to do, and then try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that's a little bit what he's doing. I guess I'm leaning towards castles, but Rook C8 seems plausible. Uh,
Yeah, so you got castles, you got rook c8. Shirogorov, I think, in this position maybe wanted bishop d6. And I think Patrick or somebody in chat over on YouTube, I think, was saying just immediately play f6 and
mhm.
keep that knight out of f3.
That makes me nervous, but yeah, I have
Yeah.
six. Um, on bishop d6, the question for me would be knight g5, because then later I'll play knight e4 too. So it seems like that would be a little unpleasant for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could be. All right. Well, Jesse played castles, queenside, knight e5, bishop e8 here in the one line that we really went deep on, and it looked fully reasonable for black. I wasn't, I wasn't excited. I wasn't making hay or anything. I was just making moves, looking around.
Well, let me defend White's honor, bud, because I think it's an White again. White needs to show something in this position, or Black will slowly take control, I think. So castle's long. Let me try knight g5, Mr. Bruce.
Okay, so I assume you intended the same bishop e8 move there.
Okay.
And so you're saying that now the knight's on a better route to e4 in general, in addition
Well,
to
also
massaging some spots.
I got some roots, and also it's harder for you. You can't f6 me at least.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start with a natural move with rook hf1.
Okay. h6.
All right. And then knight e4.
And knight e4.
I believe in Black's position, but maybe I don't even know. Maybe can Black take the pawn on d4? I didn't even think about it. Maybe he could. That seems real risky, though. Seems real risky to take that pawn on d4. Actually, I think that probably loses to bishop a6 if you take twice on d4.
Really?
Yeah,
Bishop takes a6?
that's my instinct. I
That's
don't know.
nice and violent.
Yeah. But black doesn't have to take that thing. He can do a variety of other moves. I don't think the knight on e4 is that special, honestly. You know? Yeah.
Well, at least it can trade itself for a bishop on c5, right? That would at least maintain equality.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't be too proud to maintain equality.
I mean, black's default, I think, after knight e4 would be like CD, ED, bishop e7 or bishop c6, one of those moves.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop e7 looks pretty simple, you know, touch your coconut and stuff. So I don't know what he's gonna do, but on castles, white has to, yeah, think about all the different ways white might hurt him.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse, against bishop e7, can white play knight c5?
Let's see what we're talking.
I mean, I'm so far pretty impressed by your knight g5 e4, actually. Um,
C5.
yeah, you were saying maybe bishop e7 developing, hitting h4, but white could take on c5 with the knight then. And I'm just borrowing a concept from you, which is bishop c5, dc, queen c5, bishop a6.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering if that would be something?
Well, earlier I had a concept I'm going to borrow for myself, which was put your pieces on the dark squares. So I'll play king b8.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I gotta get it.
Yeah, not clear what white has here. Oh, there's always something. Interesting questions. Hard to be sure how viable that was or not. In the game, it's Esipenko still thinking here. So he's got this choice. He could castle queenside. He could develop the bishop, maybe f6 or h6 or something. Why can't black take on d4? I don't know, Gribble. Jesse said he was going to sack on a6, and I got scared. That looked like what? fe3, castles, knight g5, bishop e8, rook f1, h6, knight e4, c4, e4, rook d4, bishop a6. So this rook's hanging, so we have to give it up. Then we have to take. Here, there's rook d8. King here, maybe he was just going to lift.
That's crispy critters right there.
Did you calculate bishop takes a6, or you just felt it?
Uh, I didn't. I stopped at. I stopped at queen a6, king b8. I just assumed that was lost, and I think that was right. That's just so interesting. He took on e3, not knowing, saying to himself, "That's got to be correct." And then after f, he's like, "Now I'll think about it."
Mm-hmm. It's like he wanted to know if white was going to take with the queen or the pawn, right? Like he wasn't certain.
And one thing about this kind of position with the computer, like, or rather, the computer throws out a move like h4, and you're following it, and you're like, okay, computer says I need to do it. But maybe you don't do the right move after, like king b1 maybe is not right. And then you end up in this position, you're like, well, what is my pawn on h4? Does it really want to be there? Like, I got all kinds of, my pawn's got some fugliness going on. And the bishops want the fugliness, right? They want the position to have potential to just be ripped open entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And h4 gives me, a little wait, you got to think about queen g3 at some point later in the game. Those kinds of weaknesses.
Let's see. Michael Wang's thinking knight g5, bishop e8, that you could take on h7 there, maybe? If this is the position, Michael, I thought that black could sack the rook and then play g6 to trap the bishop. But I didn't really look at h5 there, did I? I had thought about this, just not very well.
Mm. Also, you have to on knight h7. You have to think about c4.
Maybe that's what we really need to think about, Michael. Because I agree with you, if bishop e7, the knight can just come out at will at g5. That doesn't matter. But
I don't know.
c4, huh?
C4 might not be that impressive, honestly. I don't know. It's just something you got to figure out. I assume bishop e4.
Right, bishop e4. Idea f5, knight f8.
Yeah, it's nothing special for black. So I think, yeah, knight h7 is a good question to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this, Mr. Bruce? Bishop e7, because life is simple.
Mm-hmm.
No, you probably have to play knight g5.
I could probably play anything I want to now, no?
Well, okay.
Queen g4, maybe?
Hmm. He's saying, well, then I play c4, Mr. Boss. Oh, you're gonna, okay, c4. Maybe you could play queen g7. I don't know. No, it's queen g7, I'll play cd. Still pretty complicated.
Yeah, queen g7, cd, cd.
Definitely messy.
I think you might want to play rook h7 now.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
guess you got bishop c6 too, huh?
Oh, bishop c6, good move.
Big move. Bishop c6. Queen f7.
But let's just say black isn't upset with life here.
No, it looks probably winning for black, honestly.
Yeah.
As a guess.
Yeah.
Because
King
bishop
d8
pairs
is.
are so good. I mean, even if white has 5 pawns, it
Yeah.
probably won't matter once black's king gets tucked and pieces start fighting. c4, bishop e4. No, sorry, that was bishop e7. Okay, tell us more about bishop e7. If white plays c3, for example, what are you up to? f6 or something? Let's see if he's castled. No, he's played f6. Stopping all those knight moves. Somebody suggested that idea long ago in chat.
Mm-hmm. If I was white, I think I'd be happy to see f6 though, because it means just I have that nice softening now to think about. And I have obviously some time. So
I'm not
first
happy
move.
because the only ideas I had were knight e5 and knight g5. So now I need new ideas. That's tough.
Well, okay, knight d2 will basically force castles, and then you can do a variety of things.
Okay, so
So
knight
knight d2,
d2 threatens queen h5. Jesse says basically forces castles. Black
but I
technically
just
also
want
has
to.
g6, but that looks real risky.
So I just want to not move instantly, though. I'm just putting knight d2 as the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Another
he just
simple
got dominated, so.
another simple plan is c3 intending e4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice.
Another plan is just to play h5 and be like, what? What do you want?
Okay, h5, yeah. You could also plop the knight on e5 or g5 anyway. Also say what?
True. Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling like doing something violent. I'll tell you that much. What if I dispensed with C3 and just played E4? Is that a candidate move too?
You could think about it, but you. What's your big idea after CD though?
To play E5 quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. So actually, talk about throwing the ball back into the opponent's court, right? King B1 was just like, all right, buddy, show me what you got. And F6 is a truly show me what you got move. Because white has so many different things they could ponder now.
Yeah. That's a lot of moves on our candidate list, folks. That's a lot of moves.
E4 is, I think that's a very uh, spicy thing. Very principled in a lot of ways too. Just be like, let's ram this boy.
Yeah.
Let's ram him and jam him with E4.
Yeah. Other candidate move D5.
D5 now.
Yeah, D5 now.
What's the idea though?
Uh, go straight for the light squares here. Um, if ED5, I was going to play E4 next.
But I mean, even if I castled long, Mr. Bruce, yeah,
Yeah.
I think D5 is not a winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then ED5.
No, but I mean, even D5 castles, I don't even have to take it.
Okay.
Because that pawn
Mm-hmm.
is your key to controlling the dark squares.
Mm-hmm.
So if you move it, you've lost control. You're like you're
But I
one
like
fifth
to move
controlling the
it.
dark
Move
squares.
it.
I like to move it.
Okay, but if you castle, I could take on A6 maybe?
No, I don't think so.
No? No, probably not quite. Queen A6 check. What do you do?
Queen B7.
I trade and take
Oh,
on
I see.
A6.
You got some tricks. Uh-huh. No, we don't believe any of this stuff.
It doesn't look totally believable.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say D5 is the of those candidates, that's the one I don't believe in at all because you're giving up the dark squares.
Mm-hmm.
But we got E4 is interesting, C3, H5, Knight D2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also Mr. Bruce's madness with like Knight G5 anyway, just because you don't care about life anymore.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bruce, let me defend your honor, and I'll play E4.
Yeah.
Let's try CD4 first.
Okay.
E5.
Yeah.
Now, big questions on E5. I can, I think actually, here's the biggest one.
Yeah.
What if I just say castle and say what?
Yeah. I think ignoring it is the most obvious of options. Now,
And just for chat's benefit, I don't want to play F5 because that gives your knight squares and it costs me a tempo. So I want to keep the pawn on F6 to just hold your knight away.
yeah. Okay. And I believe in a thing called development, but if we go rook E1, then bishop B4.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Unfortunate.
This thing also loosened the position a lot, which the bishops want.
Ooh, I got an idea. Knight D4.
Okay. Is it? Okay. All right. Queen E5. Mr. Bruce, what are we doing?
Uh, trading. Playing knight F3.
Okay, but this is totally fine for black.
Yeah, it's fine for you, but I think I might be able to equalize.
Okay. So you so bad.
Uh,
Okay. So let's just say E4 would be very frisky and probably like you have to have a payout because
mhm.
the position is it's not that I grab the pawn's nice, but the position radically opens and that's what the bishops really want.
Yeah. Okay, let me try D5, Jesse.
Please don't, buddy.
G4. What the?
Okay.
That
Played
was
quickly too.
we
Played
had
quickly. It's like I don't know, maybe not that quickly. He thought for 5 minutes, but like G4, bro.
we made a list of 7 candidate moves and that was not on it.
Not on the list.
That was not on the list.
Okay, so the arguments for this move are that he was upset by the fact that his pawns were looking like chumps over there. And number two is that he's claiming, I guess, that the pawn going to G5 is something. I don't understand why it is something. I mean, again, I think we'll just leave it there. But
Oh, we got an instant response from Esipenko. Holy moly. So he did predict G4?
I mean, I don't know. You're gonna have to castle. I mean, one of the things about playing F6 is like, okay, unless white does something amazing, I'm castling next move.
Okay.
And G4 is definitely not something amazing.
No, it's not. Now it's come to G5 and it's still not that amazing. I'm going to I'm going to drop my evaluation to minus 0.05. I'm not impressed by G4 G5.
Hmm.
Whatever white had for this knight D5, knight takes E3, which I always fear, Jesse. My soul fears it.
Hmm.
Whatever white might have had, this was not it. G4 G5 with King B1. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and it shows like this is the kind of position where you needed to show something, and King B1 like didn't show it, and then he came up with this thing, which there's not even a threat.
Yeah. So now I'm willing to adjudicate the opening battle, Jesse,
Adjudicate.
in favor of Andrei Esipenko. I think he got a
Uh-huh.
great position,
Yeah.
lots of playable potential for black, and he's fine on the clock. So great, great opening for him.
You know what this reminds me a little bit of is the game of Esipenko against Shankland. And if you remember, there was a lot of pussyfooting moves there where there was like G3, Bishop C1, the whole B3 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what was stunning to me, okay, I'm going to mention a couple moves. Chat won't know what we're talking about, but David will. So there was Bishop C1 in particular that David despised.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was G3, which I was like, whatever. And then later there was a G4. So like I was talking about G4 first, and this dude did G3. And then a couple moves later, then he was like, oh, screw it. I'll play G4 now. So I went with the computer after the game, and all of those moves were top moves. Bishop C1 was the top engine move.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, God damn. Not only were we wrong, but like this SC Penko dude, he's doing this interesting holding the position kind of move. You know? I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Those were the top moves, man. Bruce was upset too on Bishop C1. He was like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, that isn't it.
Yeah.
All right, we got King B8. He's following my lead. Put the king on the dark squares.
Sure. Simple for a pimple. Just move the king over.
And this
Now,
would be really upsetting for White because you'd like, well, what do I got now? What's my plan,
right.
Stan?
Yeah, probably C3, covering some of those dark squares and praying, but feels like there's a
But if you were
lot
going
of
to do
potential here
C3,
for
you would
black.
have done it before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One
But
of the things that about the two bishops that this position feels a lot like is the ancients, when they were looking at the bishop and knight versus two bishops, they were like, well, the knight's fine, you know. Um, And here, like, there's no reason to think, for example, that either the white blacks bishops right now are amazing. But the thing with the Fisher Taimanov games, especially, was like, especially from a practical perspective, how do you prevent the long-term opening of the position?
Hmm.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
So I want to say C3 would be my intuition, which is generally just put your pawns on the opposite color of your bishop, Capablanca's principle. But I wouldn't know what my move after that would be. And also, it's hard to imagine that that's Wei Yi's instinct because if you're going to play C3, you would have done it on move 14.
Yeah. Well,
Also, it's not clear. Yeah, this is another good example. Like most chumps would play C3 with the intention of playing E4. But if E4 doesn't produce any concrete threats, you're just weakening your dark squares and you're
right.
helping black open the position.
Yeah, I was gonna play C3 just to have it sit there and defend D4 some more
Right. So I mean, like on move
at
14,
this
if we
point.
had played C3, it would have
Yeah.
been like, well, that's maybe my intention, right? Yeah. Black's got a nice game all of a sudden. Maybe. All right, Mr. Proust, I want to defend his honor just to see. Mr. Proust likes to put moves on the board. So I'll play Rook HG1,
Hmm.
trying to just maybe prevent you from moving the bishop F8 easily. Just put my rook on a sensible square.
Hmm. Yeah. Fine. Fine. If I move the bishop, you want to play GF rook to G7. So I will play bishop C6 here.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, I'll go H5. Oh, actually, Mr. Proust, look at that. C4 wins immediately for you after H5. So I can't just
I hadn't
nonchalantly
even
play.
planned that.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. You don't need to. Rook HG1, bishop C6 with a dirty threat of C4.
Huh.
All right, I'll play C3 then.
So you'll play rook G1, bishop C6, C3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just has to happen at some point, the C3 move.
Now I could play knight D. Well, at some point I could play knight D2. Maybe I can't do it now because D4 is hanging. But well, we got to move. Rook H F1. Okay.
So probably some idea like knight D2 to E4 here, something like that.
So right now the default move for me as black would be bishop E7.
Okay, E7, yeah. Defending F6 makes sense.
Rook H F1 also defends against the bishop C6 trick.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop C6, C4 trick.
Okay, so let's say white goes knight D2.
And let's just stress there's nothing forcing about bishop E7. You could play probably bishop C6 as well or something.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, white's narrative is I'm going to massage that pawn until it moves. And I'm also looking at h7. And so the argument is not necessarily I'm better as white or anything, but I'm not lost because I'm going to massage that pawn and give you drama.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think we think white should be lost, right? I gave black 5/100ths of a pawn.
Well, for one, Mr. Bruce,
Very
bishop
little.
e7, knight d2, I might be able to take on g5, bro.
Well, you would have to trade on d4 first because fg, hg, bishop g5, knight e4, bishop e7 to cover c5, rook f7. This far I calculated, and
Well, don't I have bishop e8? Oh, I get it. You have g7 hanging. Sorry.
yeah, I'm just taking g7 is all I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
So if you wanted to go for that, you'd have to go cd, ed, then fg. Again, I could try throwing in rook f7 there before I take back on g5.
Okay, Mr. Bruce, I'm ready to make my jadoo. I'm going to play bishop c6 instead of bishop e7
Mm-hmm.
with the thought that if you play knight d2, I'm going to strongly consider taking your coconut on d4.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying that then the game is going to blow wide open.
Right, white will get the one on e6. You're just opening the game.
Yeah, you can have you even if you won a pawn. I'm just really happy about the general trend here,
I'll try knight d2 anyway, though,
right?
because that's kind of
Now I got two moves, CD and FG.
yep.
Both pretty tasty. All right, I'm just gonna play CD.
Yep, ed.
Rook D4.
Rook,
Mm-hmm.
gf,
GF.
queen e6.
Okay, so time for a moment of reflection. Rook H4, Queen F6 is a pretty cool rook fork. It's rare to see a rook fork.
Yeah.
So probably bishop D6.
Okay.
We got to move on the board. Bishop C8. Okay. Maybe clever.
I'm going to be very careful about criticizing any move Espenko plays since he's had basically 100% top engine match for multiple games in a row at this point.
One thing I like about Bishop C8, I have to admit, I'm always, as the chump GM, I'm always interested in the active seeming move like Bishop C6.
Mm-hmm.
But one nice thing about Bishop C8 is it like a lot of these two bishops positions, you want to keep your bishops back so they don't get messed with.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just saying, bro, you're not going to be able to hurt me, and I'm just eventually going to take over. I like Bishop C8. That's a nice. I think that's a very nice move. Because when you think of that variation, my bishop was cool looking on Bishop C6, but it didn't actually do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Here it obviously guards E6, controls A6. I'm not going to get hit by any weird knight to somewhere talking to my bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now knight D2, CD looks like just a problem for white.
Yeah.
Bishop C8, that was a great move.
Although I don't know that we have any reason to be in a hurry as white. We could just play c3. It's like the most basic move.
Yeah.
Here, I'll play c3 for us.
What would be your intention? Like, do you have a move after C3 you want to do?
Not really. Maybe knight d2 to e4. Probably I want to fix that knight. Ever since you played f6, I've been wanting to move it.
Okay, so like C3, bishop E7.
Yeah. Bishop e7. Okay. trying to tie me to my childhood follies.
That's right.
Now it's like you've got a picture of me playing G4 on the internet, and I can never live it down. Every
Sunken.
time I go into a job interview, they're like, "What were you doing when you played G4 here?" Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna play knight d2 anyway. You can have my pawn.
Take it. Just take it.
Which way do you take first?
Okay, wait, Mr. Bruce. I got to tell you something hilarious.
Yeah.
So here's another just huge critique of this stupid tournament.
Yeah.
Imagine you get this far. You've made it to the quarterfinals. Okay. And you have played basically at that point, it's a tournament of your life, especially if you're Esipenko.
Mm-hmm.
How many rating points do you think the guys gained?
Well, Esipenko has only won in tie breaks other than his very first match. And
Right.
by the
Yeah.
vagaries of the upset system, he hasn't even played up in any match yet, I don't think. He's only played down the entire tournament, despite being
Right.
like relatively a pretty moderate seed for this event.
Yeah.
So I would guess that Esipenko has not gained a single FIDE point. He might, his first round opponent, or quote unquote second round opponent, would have probably been in the 2500s. He probably won one or two games in that first round match, which would have been worth like, maybe 3.5 points each, 7 points, then 6, 8 rounds of drawing at minus 0.7 per round on average, minus 4.2. Okay, he's gained 2 rating points actually.
He's gained 3.2, boss.
Oh, I was going to say 2.8. Ah!
Dude, tournament of your life, and you only gained 3.2. Unbelievable.
But check out his rapid rating. He's up about 40 points in FIDE rapid ratings, I think.
No one cares about FIDE
so if
rapid.
he's qualifying for the FIDE rapid world championship, it all starts to make sense.
Yeah, dude, unbelievable.
So he didn't win twice in the first round, right?
Sindarov's a similar story. He's only up about 5 points.
Yeah. Oh, but Sindarov has won a couple matches in regulation. Esipenko only won 1 in regulation.
Yeah. Yeah, Kuboyev also played mostly down despite being a moderate seed, and Nordebek Jr., and he is up 12.
Yeah.
He won a couple classical games.
He won several classical games.
So I just want to highlight this is why this tournament is so dumb, dude.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Well, and Wei Yi has probably not gained any rating points either, right?
Oh yeah, let's look. Actually.
He's also
he's up 4 points, 4.5 points, dude. That's stupid, dude.
He beat Pure Run 2-0 in the first round, and since then he's been slowly bleeding 0.6, 0.7 points with draws. But then he beat Sevian, so that's why he's up 4 points.
And Arjun won 5.5 points. Keimer won 4.5 points. Those guys are out.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Okay, rant over. I think we should schedule a Dojo Talks just to do the rants. I need to get it off my chest. I need to process it. All right, we got move played, I think. No, we just Bishop C8. Well, you definitely in some time pressure here.
Bishop C8 is the live position, folks. Bishop C8 here. Yeah, I would just play this lame C3 move. It's not too lame, it's just defending the dark squares. Then white's got basically every pawn on a dark square, which is a good start. Lasse Son of Skak says he did play up in one match. Kamer. That's a good point, Lasse. I forgot that. Esipenko played Kamer, right, Jesse?
Yeah, he was the one who knocked him out. Yep.
Oh.
And I think that he might have even gone to a second tiebreak.
Yeah. I think so too. I seem to recall the score was 4-2 eventually, which means they would have tied a pair of 15-minute games and then played 10-minute chess, I think is the second time break. I think it goes like 15-10, 5-3, but you would know better. I never watched those.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, dude. Yeah, 15-10 and then 10-10, I think it was. Oh, this is my chance to upset the communist Bruce by saying, we got a good deal, bro. You can improve your own chess. Find moves like Bishop C8 by joining the Dojo training program using Goa, code Goa. We got to move here, bud. We got GF6 played. Seems committal, but he's got an idea. Maybe the idea is that if on any of these knight d2s, he was worried about bishop e7 and the possibility of bishop f6. So he's saying to himself, I gotta take first.
Mm-hmm.
Use code GO at 20% off, bruv. 20% off that first month.
It's fine, Jesse. I don't care one way or another. I'm not upset.
Now if I was about to do the old if I was white thinking, but if I was white, I'd be frustrated and think about knight d2 to try to get as much of a Tausch machine going as I possibly could.
But
I'm definitely paying tribute though because I'm opening the position for you.
but CD4, what are you playing after CD4?
Okay, let's try it out. So knight d2, cd4, rook f6.
Holy cannoli.
With the claim that I'm maybe not completely lost because my knight will eventually come to e4.
Mm-hmm.
That I can just, yeah, I can play to hold that position. I'm not saying it's pretty. It's not saying something I really want to do. Just doing it. That makes sense. Oh, no, it was wrong. C3.
Yeah, that makes a lot
He
more
does.
sense.
He doesn't want to pay tribute. Okay, so the narrative I'm taking first is that if I played c3 first, like we tried with Bruce, then bishop e7, and then I don't want to think about the option for black to play bishop f6 when I do take on f6, as I inevitably must do. Okay, so c3. I honestly, I kind of like knight d2 better than c3 because now black has a wide berth of options. One thing that's upsetting about bishop e7 is that I blocked the communication of my queen to the h7 pawn. So there is that. Okay, I kind of feeling where what way he's saying here. It's hard for black to make a move. And while bishop c8 was a cool looking move that I applauded, it also makes it difficult for me to be like, well, wait a second. Like, something my soul is not like, well, don't I need to get my bishop out now, buddy?
Yeah, you're not crushing white anytime soon with this move, right? You're just
Rook g8 can't be too terrible.
mm-hmm.
But then I do need a path for after knight d2.
Yeah. In some way, black's gonna have to answer this threat to f6 at some point. And white's goal is to get a square for the knight somewhere in the center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well
Somewhere in
said.
the center.
Mhm.
Set up shop.
Mr. Bruce, I want to tell you something kind of amazing. Me and Coast are playing this tournament in Charlotte, right? US Masters.
Yeah.
It is super strong, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn. I think it's actually for sure it is the strongest open I have ever played in my life. It might be the strongest open. Ooh, that's a thought. I was about to say the strongest open ever to be played in the United States, and that might be true. Maybe that 2005 HB Global thing was s similar because there
Similar.
was a lot of super GMs, very strong GMs too.
Right.
But dude, it's like it's some heavy amount of people.
Is Fabi playing this year?
No, but a Wonder and Sevian are playing.
Mm-hmm. Because Fabi played last year, right?
Bobby played last year, and then it was a qualifying tournament for yeah, it was a qualifying tournament.
He played it partly for the FIDE Grand Prix standings, right?
Exactamundo. And that's he won it that year and Prague won it this year, and that's how he got in. Okay, so actually look at it again. Yeah, Jeffrey Zhang is playing in third board. Donchenko, Bortnik. Dude, man, loads of people. All right, we got 26 players over 2,500 FIDE. And then we got a total of 56 over 24. And
Mm-hmm.
a total of 92 players. 92 over 2,300. Dang. And then a total of 130 over 2,200. Super strong, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super strong. And I'm even looking way down here at the 2,100s, and I've played some of those guys, and they're terrifying, dude. I'm serious, man. I played this guy, Kagan Ooze. I'm just seeing him here. That guy was, very strong, ambitious kid. So yeah, they're not they're pissed, dude. They're pissed kids. Those are the ones I kind of don't want to play the most, man.
Yep. We know your fear of the kids.
Yeah,
Well
terrifying.
placed. Terrifying. We get Rook G8 from Esipenko. And big candidate moves from white are Rook G1 and Knight D2 in response.
Yeah, 92. 92 was the one when I was looking at Rook G8, obviously, move to come to mind. I didn't know what exactly I was going to do after 92.
Mm-hmm. Maybe F5.
Maybe F5. It's really not what I wanted though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe F5. Because then the knight comes back to F3 and says, "Hello, I'm here."
Yeah. Indeed. And then Bishop D6 would be my next.
That to me seems fine for black. And our bishop on C8 is really what has he done to himself in that position?
Okay. Rook G8, Knight D2. Could I also play?
Maybe E5 then, Mr. Bruce.
Right,
That
I'm
would be
thinking
the active
E5,
thing.
but maybe CD first.
Uh-huh.
But sure, let's just play E5.
And then that's a real mess. Though in general, yeah, as we've talked about, I think black wants to welcome that mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I might have to do here is black is allow knight e4, knight f6, but
Right.
then get all my dogs out. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. Yeah, I think knight d2 e5 is probably the black's intention. Okay. And then if knight e4, well, then we got to do a little calculations.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming, well, our hope would be knight e4, f5. That's complicated, though.
Wow.
That might be too complicated for me. Because knight c5, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's state the obvious. Like, you have a little preference for black, but it's not like black's gonna just crush white in 3 moves here, right? I mean,
No,
white
no.
white's
Mm-mm.
got perfectly solid central control at the moment. You know, all the pieces are on fine squares. If anything, white's a little better coordinated than black, with the bishops kind of clunking around on the back rank a little bit. Um, so, no, still not so easy.
Well, okay, let me defend his honor then. So knight d2, let's do your move. C takes d4.
Mm-hmm. E takes D, and then E5, right?
And I also realized at some point I could throw in rook g4. Okay, I just want to say, let's look at this e5, but I just want to put a pin in it and say that an event later, rook g4 might be a thing. But let's do e5 first.
But rook G4 is attacked by the queen.
Oh, sorry, but jeez. Okay, e5. Now I might play rook g4.
Now you got it. Okay, so now if white plays knight e4, maybe bishop g4.
Yeah.
A surprise strike. Well, that's a big deal because knight e4 was the main move here for white, right? So, what are we up to instead?
Yeah, if this CD E5 thing
F5
works
rook,
out,
yeah.
it's we get our bishop on C8 out, the pawn on H4 is potentially loose. But I want to defend his honor, Mr. Bruce. I'm going to just play DE like a normal person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's just yeah, let's just put the queen on E5.
If you play the queen on E5, then I say I'm not going to lose because I'll take on E5 and take on H7. I'm saying I'm never losing that. I'm saying I'm never losing that one.
I know you have dreams of never losing.
No, white's completely fine now because I parked the bishop, put the knight on E4,
Okay, rook H8.
bishop C2,
Bishop C2.
or you knight, yeah.
Rook H4.
Knight E4.
Knight E4.
That's good night. Sleepy times.
Rook D1.
No, come on, Mr. Bruce. What are you talking about?
I mean, right now, chess. Black's got the bishop pair. And
Black don't have caca here,
has
buddy. Come on.
pawn.
You needed a pawn. You needed a pawn on the H file or something to tell me that this was a good thing.
King C7.
This is nothing, Mr. Bruce. Stop it.
Black's obviously better. I was worried you were going to play bishop F5 instead of bishop C2.
Oh, maybe I could have done that too. I just saw this position and knew that I didn't have anything to worry about. All right, so let's go back. So rook G8.
Yeah, this position you got at the end was pretty wretched, but
wretched. I don't know why it's wretched. The knight's a beautiful guy there. He's locating the pawn.
No, he can hang out there until black kicks him out.
With all of his pieces on the light squares.
Yeah, I'm going to go rook H2, bishop H6, and then at some point my bishop on C8 is going to appear at, F5 or B7 or something, and it's going to fall apart. That's very unpleasant for white.
So that's complete equal. Okay. Rook G8. Let's see if we can figure this out. Dude, I don't have another candidate move besides knight D2.
Okay, rook g1 was the other move I
Oh, okay, yeah.
immediately suggested here.
Yeah.
Just because the bishop on f8 has to pick some kind of direction with its life, and now h7's not so well defended, so.
But I think, okay, the reason I wouldn't want Rook G1 is
Mhm.
I think White's whole intention here has been I need to tickle the pawn on f6 into moving. And once it moves, then my knight gets purchase.
Mhm.
My knight gets purchase. All right, Mr. Bruce, why don't you defend Black's honor since you like him so much? Well, I'll play knight
Heck,
d2.
heck, even queen c2 is a candidate move for white, looking for purchase.
Looking for purchase, huh?
Yeah,
Queen c2.
trying to get some kind of a square. But okay, you want to keep playing knight d2. I will play cd4.
Now, CD, maybe I could play CD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't recommend it, but yeah, you could.
I like both moves, honestly. I wasn't my first instinct was definitely ED, but
Mm-hmm.
now I'm looking at it, I think CD is also totally fine.
Okay, you can try it out once. I'll play e5.
All right. Where are you going when I play Rook C1?
Rook c1. Gotta go somewhere. I guess I'll go to e7.
Queen H2.
All right, king to a7.
Knight E4.
f5.
Yeah, maybe you can play F5. I was discounting that, but maybe if you can do that, then I don't want to play knight E4.
I'm trying it.
All right, F5. Knight G3.
Knight g3.
Okay, but before we go astray, let's just
Mm-hmm.
say after Rook G8, Knight D2, Black, we're thinking the most ambitious move for Black is E5, or rather CD4, ED4, E5.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, what was, and just so I remember, Mr. Bruce, on E5, what was our big problem, Ito?
I don't know if it was a problemito, but on e5 we played knight e4 for white, and the point was when we take on d4 we have to calculate knight f6. It might not be a problemito, but for dudes who are averse to calculating variations, it's
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me just say E5 has to be the main consideration.
okay.
So
Okay.
knight E4, okay, and I'm just gonna take on D4 now.
Okay.
Knock yourself out with your knight F6
Knight
stuff.
f6 played.
Rook G7.
Rook g7
Yes.
played.
Wait, actually, let me think half a second longer.
E4.
No, I'm gonna play Rook G3.
Rook g3. E4.
D4.
You take back with the e pawn, right?
Yeah.
Did we hang bishop g4? Let me just go back and double check. E5, knight e4,
Oh yeah,
bishop.
good point.
Bishop
Well,
g4 is
but your knight's
possible
on
even without
f6.
the trade. Yeah. No,
Oh,
before any
oh
trades.
yeah. Now we're discovering the real problems.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
we'd
so
mentioned this
this
before, but somehow we thought.
we're chumps. Okay, knight d2 played, and we both feel at this point that e5 is the most principled move by black, and it's especially nice that apparently this knight e4 thing is cut by bishop g4.
Yeah.
And if I can't play knight e4, then I'm definitely a happy camper, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, and if white goes bishop f5, it seems like black could take it and then start taking on d4, and
Mhm.
it's a little sketchy for white.
And then munchy munchy, let's have some lunchy. Okay, but let me play bishop f5, bro. I think that's maybe the principal decision for a Tausch Machina.
You're playing this line?
I don't know. Let's just see it for a second.
Okay. Bishop f5, rook f5, cd4.
CD4. All right. ED4.
Yeah, I'll take on d4 again.
Yeah, I want to admit this doesn't look the happiest. Okay, white black's better there. Okay, so E5. What is white gonna do? Oh, maybe the real Tausch Machina variation is this one, Mr. Bruce. So pawn takes E5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe the queen. I don't know. Maybe the pawn.
The queen, I'm gonna take on H7. I think, and I know you don't agree with me, but I think if you let me win that pawn, it's gonna be really hard for you to win the game.
I mean, I never said I was winning here for black, right?
Well, you want to try to
Just
win.
playing. I am trying to win.
Well, so let's look at FE5. Let's look at FE5 and see what happens here.
Okay.
The argument for white is that I have a nice blockade square on E4.
Yeah, now you could play bishop f5. It's a better version than before.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So bishop F5, and I'm saying the pawns and dark squares aren't the friend to your bishop on F8. I'm gonna play knight E4 someday. Yeah, white's okay there. So E5, we're saying DE5 is maybe the concern.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I just told Mr. Proust not to do it, but here we go. Queen takes E5. Now, in addition to bishop H7, you might throw in some kind of knight C4 someday, but let's just do first do bishop H7.
Yeah. I think you're going to prefer knight f3 to knight c4, because if you throw in knight c4, then later bishop g4 will be on the cards.
Right.
But okay, you want to grab the pawn first, right?
Right. So the question would be like rook H8.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, but when I take on H4, knight F3 happens to me. So this is actually this is more than unpleasant. Okay, wait.
Okay.
Bishop H7,
Let's
rook
just play rook
G3.
g3.
Yeah, rook G3, good move. But knight C4, I don't think white has anything. Or black has anything here, knight C4.
So what do you see happening after rook g3?
Knight C4.
Knight c4. Knight c4. Yeah, that looks solid. I was also thinking that knight e4 might be good for white right here. But there's
Maybe,
bishop
maybe
g4.
that
Watch
too,
out
yeah.
for there.
All right, yeah. So we haven't figured this out, man.
Knight c4. That makes sense. Hitting the rook and the queen. Tradovich, Tradovich. Queen has to wander. Knight to
I mean,
e6.
we just gotta say white's completely fine.
Yeah. Okay, you played f5. That's what I wanted to do, Jesse.
Okay, this was
Uh,
Bruce's spicy move.
yeah. Now the knight's going to come back, maybe?
Oh,
No.
he goes knight b3.
Wow.
Quickly played, quickly.
Quickly played. Against b6, he's envisioned bishop takes a6.
I'm not a fan of this f5 move.
It'll probably be the top engine move when you check later today.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, Mr. Bruce, I don't mind this at all for white anymore after f5. I feel fine, as the song says.
Okay.
With knight b3 is a solid move because it introduces the idea like at some point I can play dc and e4 or just e4 directly.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be white here. Yeah,
What?
I'd rather be white here, sure. Because your bishop on c8, I don't see how the thing gets out, dude.
Um. Yeah, we don't need that one. That's the plan. We don't need that one.
My knight b3 is definitely talking to you here a little bit.
Okay. Um.
And actually, also we want to say that on CD, both recaptures are pretty interesting for white.
You've got 3 recaptures there.
3, but only 2 are interesting for me.
Okay.
Maybe the knight is even fine too. That's true. I hadn't even thought about knight takes
Yeah,
d4.
the knight just tries to hang out there, freeze the pawn structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not super inclined to trade on d4 here.
Wait though, Mr. Bruce, you still think black is better after this f5 thing?
Yeah, 5/100th of a pawn, Jesse. Do you know how little
500.
that is?
I would definitely prefer white at this point.
That's wild to me, but yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
I don't know if he's better. I'd just rather be white.
What number would you like me to put in white's favor?
Oh, I don't know. Point 2.
0.2. That's quite a bit. You outweighed my evaluation. All right. Knight b3, saying 0.2. Absolutely bonkers. True madman of chess evaluations.
I've been in these situations where my bishop's all caca, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I know about the caca bishop. Yeah, knight b3. I have a feeling Mr. Esipenko might have been thinking, oh, he's going to play knight f3, and then I'll do my some stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
knight b3 is a nice, simple move. It's like asking you some real direct questions.
Yeah. Okay then. Not so much to say or do. I guess I'll just play bishop to e7.
Right? All right. So first, I want to do defaulto. Is DC.
Why are you taking with pawn and not bishop?
I'm not sure I want
I'm
to
sorry,
take
and
the
not knight.
right away. I can take with the knight, but I'm not sure. My intention was that your best move is probably bishop c5, and then I was going to probably play e4.
Okay, let me take on h4 since you let me. I thought on bishop e7, white would just play h5 and take their time.
No, I want to play now for advantage.
Okay.
I play e4.
E4. e4.
All right, E5.
Well, now it's getting exciting. Bishop g3.
I'm looking at C6. I'm just thinking about my life a little bit first.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Let's play C6.
Okay, I'll take it by queen.
Bishop H7.
Rook h8. Now, I'll make it simpler for you. I'll trade on d1 with check first instead of rook h8.
Okay.
And then I'll play rook h8.
Bishop E4.
Queen c7.
Rook D6.
Rook d6. Big old fatty.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, rook h2.
My queen D3.
f3.
Takes.
By bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bishop e5.
Probably rook D8.
d8.
Probably forced to. I don't know.
What's that?
I said probably also forced.
Okay. Yeah, so I can do whatever I want. I mean, you're not better here ever.
Well, let me put it this way. I'd still rather be white. Um, but that was an interesting and on so let's go back. Knight B3. I don't know what he's gonna do after Knight B3, but actually maybe he did make the move. He played Rook G4.
Mm-hmm.
G4.
I thought white
Looks
would play
looks looks
h5.
more looks more frisky, Rook G4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I didn't like disconnecting my rook slightly. Rook g4 was the first move I looked at before bishop e7. Against each move, I thought white would play h5, which Wei Yi has done now. Um, and then I just figured at some point we're going to trade on c5 and my rook will be undefended on d8. So that's why I didn't go for it.
hmm hmm Oh, right, H5. If you're gonna, I guess the follow-up, if you're gonna believe in this for black, would be Rook H4. H4? Is that like the big dream?
If you say so. I mean, I don't believe in that move anymore.
Well, what else would you be thinking if you
I
played Rook H4 though?
I don't know. Maybe bishop h6 and there's knight c5.
Yeah.
I
No, it
mean,
is. Well, we want to mention time pressure too. Wait, he's almost down to 2 minutes a move.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, I sort of wanted to play e5 for black next. Like if bishop
Hmm.
e7, if you'd played h5, I was maybe gonna play then like e5 at some point. But I guess you still have bishop f5. Does rook g4 change
But I mean,
that?
rook d4 is at least a fight. If you believe in black, that's the fighting move, Mr. Bruce. Because on my knight b3, bishop e7, like there was the very basic knight c5 if I wanted to be a flattener,
Mm-hmm.
an earth flattener.
Yep.
I just played DC because I was like, white's got it just as much judge as black does. But yeah, okay, here we go. Rook g4, h5. Black still believes in his position. Maybe
So you want to go rook h4 here?
I'm just trying to imagine what the intention is. Yeah.
Okay, so you go rook h4.
It's not clear that there's any threat with rook h4. It's just I'm talking to the pawn. I'm talking to h2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
It's knight c5 if I want to flatten it again, right?
yeah, or rook h1 or rook g1. Pretty similar.
One thing for white maybe to be worried about is if it goes like rook h4, e4, maybe I can throw in c4 there to take back on e4 with the rook and claim my doing things. I don't know. I don't even
Right.
know about that, but
But okay, more basic after rook h4 would be either rook g1 or rook h1. Those are real basic.
yeah, and knight c5 too. There's always just knight c5, snip, snop, e4, and then you say what?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, S.E. Penko might have got himself in a little thing.
Maybe rook g3 here after h5. I mean, I don't exactly know why rook g4 is played. I didn't really know what to do for either side here.
So just to recap, I didn't like f5, and then Mr. Fruit didn't like rook g4. So we actually rook h4. At least I'm a mind reader. At least I'm good with the mind read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, big choices, Mr. Bruce mentioned. We got rook h1, rook g1. I'm not. I think those probably are fine. I'm not really into those moves, David, because I think my rook on f1 does something.
Well, now that black's played f5, it could be adjusted.
Well, if I'm going to play for e4 though, I can always open up the f file.
Why would you play for e4? All you'll do is weaken your dark squares.
Well, okay, so let's just say the flattening variation for white would be knight c5, bishop c5, dc5, queen c5, e4, and he's doing fine. No problemito.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, both players are doing fine, right? Black plays f4, white plays e5, black plays queen e3 or something. I mean, the game's pretty balanced. I mean, I'm mostly seeing a lot of pretty close to balanced positions. You know, I'm not seeing anything too exciting for either player.
Well, okay, this white. I think the way he should, given his time situation, I think he should be playing knight c5. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think e4 would be if you wanted to really push it, as the song says.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think e4 might lose even because e4, c4, bishop c4, rook e4. You got to play queen d3, and then I think your bishop's hosed with like b5 or something.
Yeah, I mean, really with e4, all you're looking for is some kind of problems for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that phrase is used in English, but in French you say that somebody is chercher les problèmes, like searching for problems.
Uh-huh.
I think in English maybe we say looking for trouble, huh? Yeah, that's
Looking
probably
for
what we say.
looking for trouble. Our phrase is way better than some
Yeah.
French searching for problems. You're
Looking
looking
for
for trouble.
So yeah, so we can say with e4, white's just looking for trouble. In French, there's kind of like a clear implication that you're looking for like stuff that's going to go bad for yourself, right? Like if you were saying you're like looking for trouble, does that always necessarily mean it's bad for yourself?
Um,
Probably.
Going deep
Probably
today.
generally has that same implication.
There's a funny meme out there of how much in life you want to fuck around and find out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to totally not fuck around and find out. There's got to be a little bit of fucking around to find out. I think that's the new way of saying it. Searching for trouble is you're just gonna fuck around, you're gonna find out.
I see. That's something else, G. That's something else. Yes, could be problem or not, yeah. But that is another one.
Mr. Bruce, I might have life events happening here I got to deal with soon. But
Right.
I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes. If knight c5 happens, then I know I feel confident we're just gonna head for a draw on another one of these stupid tie breaks. Because Esipenko's not gonna play for a win as white. He might kind of faint at it, but
Yeah, I mean, I would already, as a betting man, I would put 85% chances on a draw in this game. A little bit high, but the average at this level is 75%. And the position looks quite balanced to me.
one thing actually I did blunder, Mr. Bruce, though, is
Uh-huh.
my knight c5 e4 thing does not guarantee me equality because at the end of all that, my pawn on h5 is hanging.
Why your queen's covering it?
No, but see, Fe,
Oh,
his queen's
Fe.
covering. Fe, his
Bishop
queen is
e4.
covering.
Takeovich, Takeovich, and then something like queen h5 defending h7, huh?
Something. And I at least got a Pieshka.
Yeah.
That's still pretty hard to win, but that is a Pieshka.
Right. So queen takes, rook d8, headed to h8. Rook h4, perhaps.
So David, a narrative of this whole rook g4 h4 thing is I'm just preventing you from playing the liquid dots.
Look at that Pieshka go, boys and girls.
Yeah, be careful. Don't let it run too far.
Gotta be careful. Gotta be a little careful, yeah. Oh, Dan Heisman has a book called Looking for Trouble. Nice. At least you're standing on your principles, Rank Weiss.
Well, okay. What should I do then? We've ruled out e4.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying knight c5 loses to loss of Pieshka.
I mean, you don't have to follow it up with e4, but again, I'd originally suggested here the moves rook h1 and rook g1. I don't think there's
There
anything
you
wrong
go.
with either one.
I'm leaning towards your rook h1. If just a,
Cruising for a bruising, yeah.
and cruise for bruising, that's a good one.
Yeah. Cruising for a bruising clearly implies that things are going to go badly for you. It doesn't as clearly guarantee that it's you who's causing your own problems.
It took me about 15 minutes, Bruce, but I finally come around to your first intuition.
Yeah, fine. It's
Rook
just
h2 isn't a big threat, but if I go dc5, bishop c5, e4, which is kind of what I want to do, then rook h2 is a hassle in the castle because you're talking to my f2 square.
yeah.
Rook h1, where you don't lose on time. Now he is down to a minute to move.
Mhm.
Or yeah, minute to move. We're there.
You still think White's better, or are you getting
No, rook
re-
h1, I think it's
reeling you back in towards equality?
yeah, I mean, I think I still want to be white just because I feel like at least at the chump level I play at, there's more chances here for white than there
Mhm.
are for black.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. What happens if White plays e4 without taking on c5? I mean, I'm not like a big fan of the move, but
With e4, there's c4, and I think black actually wins.
c4, right? We already covered that. Yep. Okay, so no e4. Trading on c5 leads to a position where e4 is premature, so you're a little bit sort of stuck sitting on that. Okay. How about bishop c2 for white here?
I don't like it. What's the idea? You just want to play DC and
Yeah,
I guess yeah, you could probably play bishop c2. I don't
yeah. I just want to trade rooks on d8.
know. Ooh, AE's really in the tank now, my friends.
Yeah, ridiculous. To make how many moves? They just hit move 21, so there's 19 moves to make.
Yeah, that's well under a minute to move.
What does rook h4 even do? A
It
lot of
prevents knight c5 for one thing.
a lot of the
All right,
moves
we
don't
gotta
do
move.
too much here.
Knight c5 played. Uh-oh. So this was unfortunately for Wei Yi, this was my first instinct. But at least on bishop c5, d c5, queen c5. Maybe he's got a different idea after bishop c5, d c5, queen c5.
Yeah, it could be something like bishop c2 there.
Yeah.
e4, pawn takes, bishop takes, rook d1.
Yeah, let's just play. Yeah, so let's do something late like bishop c2 there and just say I'm gonna end this drama.
Yeah.
And basically, the bishop on c8 is so passive that Black needs loads of moves before he starts threatening anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bruce, I gotta go deal with my life.
Do it.
It's been great. I assume, I assume we're on for tomorrow. We'll see.
Probably, yeah. We,
All right, my buddy. I'll
we
see
could
you then.
discuss it.
Oh, we also have dojo meeting later. Hope to see you there.
I'll be asleep.
Oh, come on, bud. Need
I'll
to
be
go to the
asleep.
dojo meeting. We got a big meeting.
You can make whatever decisions you want.
By the way, there'll be no dojo meeting for me and Kostin the week after that. So it is an important meeting because we're going to be in Charlotte.
Okay. You guys can just do whatever you want with the meeting.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right, folks and folks. And there was just one guy wondering what he was doing with himself. All right, we're going to take Jesse's evaluation away and just have my evaluation now. Bishop c5, d5, queen c5. Hey, Robin. We had like a very exciting opening for a moment early on in this game, in my opinion. Um, and then Esopenko, got just enough time to shut down any aggression from White, and now we feel like it's a pretty equal position. No, Jesse's got stuff in his life. He wasn't really. He wasn't rage quitting. Ugh. Man, Wei makes all the trades and then sitting here thinking some more. If bishop c2, which we've mentioned, then maybe black could trade once and then play e5 since f5 is not hanging anymore. Okay, this is the line I just looked at, just so you know what I'm thinking about, even if it's stupid. It just gives you an idea. And then I figured the white king would probably be vulnerable to the heavy pieces, so I rejected this position. It's 2 pawns and a bishop against a rook, which is, roughly equal-ish or whatever, but I decided, if anything, it's going to be like slightly better for black, and there's some chance that black's just winning, so no reason for white to risk that. So back to e5 position. Maybe queen f2, rook h5 defends that pawn. Queen f3, just poking at it. Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. If e4, you'll blunder the rook. If we go f4, that lets the bishop out, but white can grab here perhaps. There's bishop g4. Okay, we got a move live on the board. Rook f4. Okay, this would be slightly bad for black to make that trade. Interesting, this move wasn't on my horizon. So it'd be slightly bad for black to take. It's good news for white. Probably rook h3 is like the basic move for black. Attacking this. Probably walking into rook f3. Am I blundering the rook? I don't know. Did I blunder a rook? We haven't watched the Uzbek game so much so far today, Robin, but I don't know. It's an interesting endgame, probably. Honestly, if we were following it, we'd probably be deeper into the potential interest. White has this bad pawn structure, but a little more space, and the rooks kind of have the jump on the position. So honestly, either player could be better or could grind it out. I don't even know. Live position after rook f4. Esipenko's got plenty time to think about this if he wasn't expecting it. Oh, Patrick, queen g3 was check, if that's what you're talking about. This little Pozitiask here. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd trap the rook or anything. It's a big board. The h5 pawn's undefended. I left it undefended because I had check. A Ruski. Foos chess. Instead of bishop c2, maybe rook f4. Wow, good job, Foos. Shirogorov, yeah, great tournament for Sam, mostly in rapid chess, right? He drew a lot of classical games against good players, but that's nothing particularly exciting. Do I know the cause of his mouth movements? I don't know anything about any mouth movements. Hey, Rankwise. No, that's good to know. I think what we want is just some kind of I think our ultimate idea was just some kind of vacation mode. So you could just like click like I'm going to be off for a week or whatever, and then you would click when you're back. So it wouldn't show you having like missed your goal for a week or anything like that, and you could keep streaks intact, right? Because we'll have I don't know if we have them yet, but it's on the roadmap at some point to have streaks, right? Like, I've done my training 17 days in a row or something like that. So you'd just be able to click when you're going on vacation, so to speak, which could be, work as opposed to vacation. Maybe you do more chest during vacation and less chest when you've got a lot of work or something. But, yeah. Oh, I see. When you haven't planned to miss the week, but you miss a few days and then you get demotivated from continuing to do it. Yeah, we can think about how best to do that. I mean, I think about that also with like my exercise goals. I think is maybe the most similar thing in my life to the dojo training goals for all of you right now. And yeah, if I miss a couple days and I've got a goal of going to the gym 5 days in the week, and if we hit Friday and I've only been 2 times instead of 4 times, does that make me more or less likely to go on Friday? I'll think about it some more. Yeah, I'll think about it some more. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you. It would be good for us to keep our subscribers to some extent. Yeah. 168 hours in the week. Yeah. And I've been awake for about 110 of them. Right. So Robin says they use kind of their own goal of how many days out of the week they achieve the goal or the training in question. That's the Penko thinking, by the way, folks, and it's an interesting discussion over there about the training. But let me just throw 1 or 2 chess moves on the board real quick, and then if he tanks, we can talk more about how to do the training correctly. What Robin is saying is kind of similar to how my mind does it, but I'm thinking something like this: attacking the pawn, and then maybe rook f3, sheltering the pawn, and then maybe rook h4. This is just foremost in my mind, is this potential to just go back and forth with the rooks right now. It's not, I have no feeling like it's forced, but it's the most obvious variation to me in the live position is this back and forth. So I just wanted to make that clear to folks. That's kind of the baseline of what I'm thinking about in this position. There's plenty of other possibilities, like rook h3. White could play rook d4. That defends the pawn this way and emphasizes this going after that rook. If rook f3, would I be hanging rook takes h5? Now there is a pertinent question. Let me see. Oh, Ivan asked the same question as well. Rook h5. Okay, well that's not a very relevant move, is it? That does hang the pawn. Wow. Okay. Would a trade on d4 favor black or white? Meh. Who knows, Sweet Blues? It wouldn't favor anyone too heavily. So let's say Esipenko played rook h3 and Wei Yi can't play rook f3. What would he play then? Somebody said, wouldn't white play e4? I was thinking no, because of e5, hitting the rook. Rook h3 was played, and then rook d4 was our secondary move, and that got played instantly. So rook f4, Rook h3, someone was asking about e4, and here's my reason to think, no, e5 attacking the rook, bishop's covering f5, rook has to drop back somewhere, right? Maybe now you could go to f3, because rook h5 you can take here. But in any case, one thing that black has in these positions is f4. And then the bishop ends up stuck this way, and this one is out, and that's a protected passer. So I think it's a definite no on e4 here, where black has e5, f4. Right there. So rook d4 gets played. That's a more basic move. A trade on d4 would make sense. Who would it favor? Nobody too much. That's one of our questions. It could also go to g8 if he's feeling really frisky. Oh my god, he's feeling frisky. So now he's fully conceded the d file, saying that the bishop's going to be snug. And he's looking to do stuff like rook g5, rook g3, and just go crazy with his own rooks. So it's like a huge imbalance in force between the king side and the queen side slash center now. Probably here we could get e4 from white. And we do, so he's going to try and open up the center before the stuff on the wings gets too serious. Yeah, rook g8 takes it back away from drawtown, exactly as Patrick says. Now, anything could happen again. 14 moves to time control, so a little bit of time pressure on Wei Yi here, and Esipenko is okay on time. So it's definitely much more complicated this way. And we can bounce between the two games if we like, now that Jesse has bounced. h4, rook c7. If black ever takes here, this is going to be hanging. The rook can't ever move away because the knight will hang. Have they reached some kind of equilibrium here? Let's see. In this game here, how do I evaluate giving black the passed pawn with f4? So it depends whether or not white has the move e5 very much, sort of blocking in that bishop. Rook e3, f3, different moves possible here. Black might be able to pick up a pawn in that mess. That would have to be calculated. If black can ever play like e5 and f4, then I prefer black quite a bit for the first time, right? So I think f4 is a very important move to consider here. Bishop c4, rook c4, b4. b4 doesn't work. The queen can grab and then come here, I guess. Doesn't work out for white. f4, rook c4, queen e5 looks fine. I think black's going to be a little bit better unless white can play e5. But the first time I tried e5, I lost a pawn. So let's try e5 again, shall we? So we played f3 last time. I also wondered about rook e3, then queen f2, trying to win this pawn. That's why I played f3 instead of rook e3. And here... Sometimes the rook and pawn, and sometimes the king and pawn ending is just winning, but here it might be the rook and pawn ending black goes for. Ah, the pawn goes here. Looks like enough to draw for white. Okay, let's go back to f3 for a second. f3. I played queen e3 last time. Somebody asked about queen f1 in chat. That's an intense move for sure. I mean, black could win a pawn by taking on h5. White takes on f3, and then black takes on e5. But I'd be tempted to try to punish white here with rook g2. That looks pretty scary. The other rook to block the check. You mean around here, Francois? Something in this line, it must have been. I can tell you why I moved this rook instead of this rook. It was because this would win the piece. The king's too far away to defend. So I brought this rook down so that if rook d8, I could play king c2. Rook d e3. Here, yeah, that's going to lose a whole piece. Yeah, Robin, I didn't evaluate that king and pawn ending yet that you mentioned. Which could be done with or without this move. So probably like here, here, here. I agree with you, that move's pretty plausible. Yeah, I wasn't sure about this endgame. And black also doesn't have to play king e6, by the way. What's probably happening? White's got a lot of space here. So if black ever runs over here, the h-pawn's going to be kind of slow. This will come. b3, c4, a3, b4, etc. It's a draw. I think it's a draw, this endgame. I think what black wants to do is play a5 to make sure the last pawn on the queen side gets traded for white to make a pass c-pawn. Like this. And then from here on, the order doesn't matter too much. But say something like this, 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 this. You know, something like this is going to happen eventually. And black can do something like that. I feel like that's kind of like a basic way for the endgame to play out. I mean, I would have to spend at least 5 minutes to double check all the possibilities here. There's a lot of possibilities around, does either player want to play h6 early on? Does it change much? But we're going to leave it for now. Fe4 got played, not f4, so that's good news for Wei Yi's fans, because I think the real danger for white was in this move f4. And we had not come up with a clear equalizer for white in this line that was very critical of f4, e5. So e4, Esipenko takes, and... Oh, well, actually, maybe it's not good news for white. Maybe after white takes back on e4, Esipenko is going to win a pawn on h5. Good news. Good news. Holy cannoli. Hang on a moment. We might need to drop our eval a bit here. At least to minus 0.5. Because we didn't see any defense in that f4 position. And black's chosen something else, and it looks like black's winning a pawn. So we got to at least go half a pawn, even if there's going to be some compensation. Let's at least like put some position in our minds. Like, let's say we take on e4 with the rook. Black takes on h5 and white plays bishop c4. Yeah, black's quite a bit better. Jeez. Maybe even a little bit worse than this. Wow, it got pretty out of control here for Wei Yi, like very suddenly. Very suddenly. The turning point, which I want to go back and like think about for a moment because it came a little bit by surprise. But the turning point was like after all these trades, white plays rook f4, rook h3, and cannot just sort of like keep hanging out with that rook and trading it. So white goes here, and then black says, well, yeah, I give you the full D file. You're not going to do anything with it, and I'm going to start encircling you, your two isolated pawns here. So maybe instead of trading, white should have played the basic rook h1 while they could, to trade the active rook, so to speak. That might have been where white slipped into such part of how white slipped into such difficulties. Now fe4, he's just going to take that pawn on h5. White's wondering whether to reposition this bishop to e4 f3 or whether to try and tie black down to the e6 pawn here, right? So takes with the queen. Wow, okay. This would have been the tie down, by the way, folks, would have been like this. Tying black down to this. Or maybe rook e8. But, either way, it's kind of something to tie him down to. Queen e4, not the most obvious to me. Black can take on h5. Black could also maybe play e5 first. Looks like a big advantage for Esipenko here. Excuse me a second. I'm getting a little cold. Oh, it feels good to stand up for a moment, I gotta say. Oh, it feels so good, I don't even know if I'm gonna sit down. Ugh. that's better. No. We don't have snow in California. Never. When I say it's like super cold, it's 60 degrees or something during the day and maybe 50 at night. Yeah, you have to be very careful if you don't want to see an evaluation. Bishop takes a6 ideas? What? Does white threaten bishop a6 here? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's look at that threat. I mean, it is black's move, but let me play rook. Would rook h5 ruin your threat? I want to do something that doesn't ruin your threat. Okay, I'll play h6. Let's see if you're really threatening this. I want to know. I want to know what love is. Check. Okay, so first of all, we got this idea from Francois. Overworking the bishop. That king's just X'd out. And then I suppose the king could come this way, and this isn't that hard to calculate either. Also, queen f4, e5, queen f7 is within my own powers. So, yeah, I guess Wei Yi's threatening bishop takes a6 here. Well, that's weird. So that means I need like a treadmill here too, to stay warm now. So that means that black might need to try something like e5 before taking on h5, but e5, rook d5 lets our bishop out, but it seems like white takes on e5, threat to the queen. I can't do anything but move my queen. And then I retreat her, and this comes here. Huh, that's pretty good for white. Okay, maybe I got too excited for Esipenko for a moment. Let's see, does rook h5 still allow bishop a6? Let's check on that. So if I take, check, does the rook on h5 change any of this stuff? I mean, it's preventing queen h7 at least, which would have also been winning for white in the last position, wouldn't it? Queen e4, h6, bishop a6, ba6, rook b4, king a7. There was nothing wrong with rook d7 mating, of course, but this just gives us a sense about how much tactical juice white had here. The position was winning in multiple ways. Interesting queen e4 from Wei Yi. If I were playing this game, I probably wouldn't even consider this move. And that the queen's influence this way might be what save us from losing, because the h5 pawn is really interesting. But black has taken the pawn. So, wow. We have to calculate bishop a6, right? Don't we? That's fun at least. Let's do it. It's less fun for Wei Yi because he's got 7 minutes. But let's say bishop a6. The first basic thing to mention is that Esipenko has this escape valve here, queen f5. Forcing a queen trade, 2 passed pawns, and white's got a 3-on-1 on the king side. It's the king's side, right? It's the queen side, but the king's side. So before we look for checkmate and all that, queen f5, black's better in this endgame. Like, very, very simple. I don't know if it's enough to win, but it's certainly something. So queen h5, bishop a6. Can we take? Check. King here, check. This mate seems to operate same as before. Let's try king here. I'll give the queen check. Oh no, there's no queen f7, but now there's queen c4. Queen c4 has the added benefit of just being mate. Why did I throw in queen f4 check? Did I miss checkmate? Shh, don't say anything, anybody. Yeah, so I think the plan, folks, is bishop a6, queen f5. Better for black. Nevertheless, white might need to at least equalize the pawns here. Queen f4 check e5 doesn't look good. Rook to I don't see anything else that white's really trying to do here other than that. So then the question becomes, how scary is that endgame for white? First of all, I'd say white doesn't want to trade on f5. So bishop a6, queen f5. You don't want to trade on f5. You're moving the pawn closer to queening and giving the bishop on c8 more scope. So you play bishop d3 here. Black takes, and we put the bishop here, covering the queening square. You know, e5, we calculate rook d5, trying to just take the pawn right away. I think white can survive it, so I'm going to move my evaluation down to minus 0.55. Now, this position is clear enough that the computer evaluation is either going to be much closer to 0 than that or much closer to +1 for black. It's not going to be sort of hesitating around minus 0.5. But that's a human evaluation. Minus 0.5. Some uncertainty around it. We got a capture on the other board, so we'll pop over there for a second. This is the live position where Wei Yi's thinking. We haven't looked at any candidate moves other than bishop a6. Perhaps there's a lot of other things he could do. Most of them would leave him down a pawn, right? All right, so black broke with f6 when white tickled the g7 pawn. This was always something white could do. So now rook g6 is a big old question, but we get rook c4. Huh. Let's have a real quick look at rook g6 to see why he didn't go for that. Knight d4. Rook c1. Oh my god, I'm a GM today. Rook c4, so the rook's defended now. 1 minute left for Yakubayev, and 10 moves to make, and Sindarov plays rook g7. Trying to deal with rook g6. These guys are on move 30, so Yakubayev's going to play 10 moves just off the increment here as white. If he tries to be fancy with rook cf4, there's f5, which is fine for black. If he goes rook g6, black intends to trade and play rook c7 immediately. Rook g7 immediately. Trying to capture the pawn. You could play knight h4, then there's knight e5, yeah. Looks like Sindarov's defenses hold just fine here. Draw agreed. He played rook g7 and offered a draw. So not looking to flag his compatriot. All right, back over to here. Bishop takes a6 played. He spent half his time on it. Bishop a6 should be like an exciting highlight moment, but after queen f5, you know, the blood pressure is going to go back to normal very quickly. Game on rooting for B takes A6. Oh, we got a spicy move. We got a spicy move. This invites Rook D7. Maybe Queen G6. Rook D8 has been played, stopping Bishop F5, threatening mate again. Also stopping Queen F5. Maybe Queen G6 will be forced. Let's see what else is going on here. Queen D1, Rook D1. Doesn't really lead anywhere. It avoids mate for the moment, but there's no Bishop F5 follow-up. Does Rook B4 hang mate? I have Man with Head of Dog, yeah. I liked it. How about you? What did you think of it? Any funny business after Queen G6? Well, I guess one thing about Queen G6 is white could take, and if black takes with the pawn, they sack the rook. And if they take with the rook, they give up the 8th rank. Against Queen G6, can white play Bishop B7? Holy moly. That looks very powerful, yet geometrically confusing. I understand why you ask, can white play it? Because I don't know. Wei's got in trouble for his poems? Can you tell me more about that, Rank Weiss? What did he... How did he get in trouble for poems? Did he write political poetry? Oh yeah, like like Wesley So at the U.S. Championships. I hadn't heard of that. Yeah, writing poems on your score sheet would technically be against the rules, I guess. Okay, just the Wesley So incident mixed up. Okay. No harm here. Patrick Daly says there's some serious life here, and they like white. I kind of like white too if they win that pawn on b7. That'll change my view of the position if white can grab this pawn. So if black can't take, right? That's illegal. Good. Queen takes, the bishop escapes, and now white's up a pawn. Plus their pieces are pretty active. And rook takes, I suppose this move is the idea. Still can't take, still this looks fine for white. King c7 check looks okay. Rook check, king here, bishop f5 illegal, good, check here. Oh, hang on, queen b6. We gotta move, folks. I think a live move. No? Yes. Rook d8 played. Oof. You see, we may have just stumbled on a problem for white, which is that if black's giving checks here, you can't come out. Oh no, this is without queen g6. Hang on, this is without queen g6, so it's a different scenario. Okay, so what do we think here? We had like here, queen f5 hangs the queen to queen takes f5. Queen d1 is not quite checkmate if the rook remembers where he came from. Remember where you came from. So there's queen g6, there's rook h1. King a7. Whoa. If rook takes bishop, there's queen d1 mate. Wei Yi responds quickly. Queen to a4. What the hell? Covering mate? He's probably lost. It feels like he might have blundered king a7. I'm just going to guess that he's lost. -2 makes no sense, right? It's like -4 or whatever. It's minus game is my guess. But let's see. Let's see. I mean, supposing he takes the piece, what's white planning to do? Rook d7, hoping for perpet? Because if you take here, this is very simple. Queen f5 wins the game. So, okay. I mean, I shouldn't discount perpetual. So, rook d7. Bishop blocks. Same thing, right? I'm trying to get out, folks, but I haven't found a way out just yet. Maybe it's time for me to head back. Maybe I should go back and accept the perpetual. Okay, so there's rook d7 check with a draw. King here, queen here. Looks good for white. King here, queen here, king here. Looks fine for white. Okay, so queen a4, live position. Somebody asked about rook h1 check. Note that there's not checkmate here because of the rook. But as someone else pointed out, even more worrisome perhaps for black might be this move, bishop f1, check. King has to go back, and then we can just come down and start defending our stuff. Maybe there's a counterattack. I don't know. So far, no response from Esipenko to queen a4. So cold. Okay, we gotta move. BA6. Yes! I'll get to go to sleep in a moment. I get to go back to bed. rook d7 instantly. Bishop takes. All right, they're going to agree to a draw here. Draw agreed. Okay, something weird happening with the clocks, but I'm sure they agreed to a draw. So, wow. There was one last option here to maybe keep the game going with this rook check. Honestly, I don't even know if white would play bishop f1 or king up. In all cases, black can't throw in this move because of check. So with rook h1, king c2 thrown in as well, same deal. So, I mean, could white keep playing there? Maybe. Maybe that's why black was ready to take the draw. Bishop f1, king b8, rook d1 seems like maybe slightly more comfortable for black, but maybe it's no big deal. Queen check. No, this is beyond slightly more comfortable for black. It's lost. Yeah. I was right to be worried about this. So maybe on rook h1 the king would have come up. And he's just heading this way. He doesn't care. There's always discovered check. If black ever uses the queen on the diagonal, so the king just waltzes over. And yeah, white's threatening this. What happens if black saves the bishop at some point? I mean, for one thing, this is still a draw. Also, white could play bishop d3, check again, whether it's the bishop or the queen. And now it's bad. Bad, like maybe checkmate bad. Here, instead of queen b5, go to b4. More elegant. Yeah. Yeah, youngest Proust is getting up pretty soon, foos. But I can still get a little nap in, hopefully, if I'm lucky. We're going to try for it. We're going to pray for that little nap, folks. All right, so an interesting start to these matches. Esipenko played aggressively. Did he ever have a real advantage? I wonder. Let me computer check our situation here. So here, the computer says that black was a bit better, and that it is recommending rook h1, my move, saying that this is a little bit worse. Takes. And yeah, now white is noticeably worse. Rook h3 is the only reason white's worse. Rook g8, fine. e4. And yeah, what does it say about my f4 line? Because at first the computer also got excited about f4, and then it calmed down. e5, f3. What do I have? Queen e3? Yeah, that was my move. Rook h5, queen f3, queen e5. Bishop a6 here. See, I hadn't even dreamed of that move yet. Bishop a6 here. This is a weak engine, Kaylin, running on my weak computer. Bishop a6. The computer's just taking time to catch up with what's going on. Okay, so no big deal there. F e4, queen e4. Yeah, no big advantage. Queen f5 playable for black. Computer also suggests maybe queen f5 first. But I'm surprised. This computer's so weak. White should just play rook f1 and there's nothing here, right? It's taking a real while to see it. Now it's starting to calm down. Minus 0.2. So not huge danger for white at any point here, I guess. Makes sense. This computer is briefly excited, but probably just wrong. Okay, and in the game, after he takes e5, rook d8, takes. So first of all, it says queen g6, bishop b7, queen g1. Our amazing bishop b1, sweet blues, it doesn't work somehow to queen g1. And the point is, you can check and check on b6. So there's no bishop b7 here. White would have to just retreat the bishop, something like this. But it's enough for equality. So king a7 was fine. Queen a4 is the only move. And draw. Okay. So basically they played perfectly again, pretty much, right? And there was never any significant advantage, but black was probably something like 0.1 to 0.2 better, which was exactly where my evaluation was throughout that game. Yeah. So that's it for now. I gotta rush off to bed, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll be back for game 2 tomorrow. And yeah, wish everybody a great